We may have had a difference.
Slow it down. I show that I live right, and I'm never gonna let you out of my side. I've been knocked out, was a nice try, but I guess I get to keep my. Slow it down.
We may have had a difference. We may have had a difference.
Slow it down. I show that I live right, and I'm never gonna let you out of my side. I've been knocked out, was a nice try, but I guess I get to keep my head on this time. God of the creation, the relations I've got, the only one that keeps me safe, the only one you should trust. For sure, it ain't right that I have checked the speck of dust from all of its side. Fall down, that from my height, cause I didn't see the plank I have in my eye. In yourself when no one's to be found, what keeps you eased out, what takes you off your mind.
Guess you want this, I want this. Everybody in this, we should have it. Stop illusions, it's in your hands. Show yourself, reveal it to them. Take the time to recognize it. You won't leave me even if I tried it. You're the artist in the mess and happily perform the new in your hands.
Big dog status, I'm a big dog vet. I pull up on the block in a big Corvette. Yeah. Ride around the city with a stick all black. Try with a poker, we ain't with all that. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Ooh, made $1 million and I can't go back. Got a lot of jewelry on me, man, can't hold that. 12 asking better, tell him that I ain't so crack. Know your money long when your people can't afford that. I'm ballin', yeah. My mama told me that did my calling. I keep that stick, I don't do no brawling. Open out the doors and let them all in here. Yeah, they all in here. Ooh, big dog. We come out the pound, so we big dog. Heavy paddock, gonna break my wrist off. I'm young out of rocket, about to lead dog. 3, 2, 1, I got big dog status, I'm a big dog vet.
What is up, creator fan? Welcome back to the Friday Live Helpcast with me, your hostess, the mostess, Diana Gladney. Super pumped and excited to be here, as I always am, with you all over here on YouTube. We got you cracking on Instagram, finally. Hopefully, there are no mishaps with Instagram this fine day. Canceling the stream and closing the window. It's real touch and go with Instagram here lately. It got you going live on LinkedIn as well. I see you guys also. Over to the Friday Live Helpcast, where you drop your questions and I go through and answer them. And we have had the historical success of answering all the questions in the stream, upwards of 5+ hours, to make sure we get all the questions answered. But we're not doing that on this fine day. I hope y'all had a great start to your day and a great ending of your week. So let's get it crack-a-lackin'. I think that was on Madagascar. Let's get it crack-a-lackin' with the Q&A. We do these every Friday at 11:45 a.m. Central Standard Time, allegedly. All right, so so some of the updates, stuff that happened this week. Let's talk a little bit with some updates with YouTube, Instagram, and the like. I'm not gonna get too much into the social platforms and hashtag all the things because they change quite frequently. Some new updates you're probably seeing over on YouTube if you're posting content there. is you're seeing more AI tools. You may even have seen gaming, which is not new, but you're probably seeing more of that becoming a thing. It used to be dismissible, now it's kind of becoming more prevalent. That could go away, that could stay, it just depends. You're also seeing on your community tab the ability to do polls. Again, this may not be new, but different people are getting access at different time frames. And so you would have seen where you can do polls to ask questions. And they're bringing back, from what I see, more of the community engagement aspect of just the different tools. We used to have a DM section on YouTube, and it's pretty scary back there. So they got rid of that, but they're slowly integrating more things. When it comes to AI, you're also looking at where more of your content is becoming predictable for YouTube. So not only when you think about the viewer process of when somebody sees your thumbnail, when they click on it, when they get to the point of watching the content, hashtag all the things, it's not as cut and dry as it used to be. There's more, how can I say this nicely? There is more help from YouTube to help the viewer see what that video is about. So much so where it will tell the viewer like, hey, most people skipped all of this stuff. Maybe they don't care about the updates for the helpcast, for the stream or whatever in the beginning. And it's like, well, most people just kind of skip to about, let's say 3 minutes, 12 seconds or something like that. And then they will start asking questions or whatever. So you can start here. We would see now where you'll see like that grayed out line where it's like, here's the peak points, here's the lower points of how many people watch, or here's the most rewatched section. Well, now they're considering just telling that person up front as soon as they click on the video, you probably just want to go over here. Most people are kind of looking for stuff around this. We've already seen the integration of automated chapters now, which is helpful and handy just to see how the video is broken up. But I think YouTube is taking a bit of an overstep in that regard, because let the viewer view. Like, let them watch. And I'm saying this from a creator standpoint as well as from the standpoint of someone that is the, like I said, from the creator as well as from the viewer. It is important to get to the point, like when you first kick off a video, relatively quickly, so you can start to counteract some of that stuff. This is not a feature you can turn on or turn off. They're testing it. You may see it, you may not, and it just depends. I would definitely take a look and just see how you like this as a viewer, and then how you like this as a creator. From a viewer's perspective, don't interrupt my viewing session, because sometimes I'm clicking people because I have a connection with that person. I want to see what they're talking about. I want to know more about what they're talking about. I want to enjoy the video. I don't care that other people skipped. I'm enjoying myself. Let me watch. It reminds me of kind of like how during the pandemic, where Netflix would ask you on episode 2 of something that you're watching, are you still watching? Because if you're not watching right now enough to click this button, then we're just gonna put the TV to sleep, and you don't get to watch anything until you click here. It's just an interruption to that viewing session, and it kind of distracts you. And once you become distracted, you just kind of want to click off. Don't know if you guys still may be seeing that, but they updated the format so you would not see the description and then comments right underneath on YouTube as well. You would just see thumbnails, endless thumbnails, and then the comments and the description were on the right-handed side. Again, I think this is too much of an overstep when it comes to YouTube. Some user interface tests and whatnot, and again, you may be seeing it, you may not be seeing it, but pay attention to this, especially if you are a creator, because you need to start bobbing and weaving as YouTube is making these updates. So here's my advice, my little quick pro tip before we get into the Q&A. Make sure you guys drop your questions, whether you're here. I see you guys over. Somebody said just wanted to send you a DM. Okay, over on Instagram, I got you. Drop that in the DM. That would be cool. But make sure you guys drop your questions over in the chat. And if you really want to have a good time, come on over to YouTube, where all the cool kids hang out. But my advice, when it comes to some of these YouTube updates, these tests that they are doing, pay attention to how it's going to impact the person that's on the other side of that keyboard, the viewer. A lot of times we look at it, we may complain as a creator, and we type our comments under the YouTube, main channel type stuff. This is terrible. That's great, but that's not important feedback. If you want to give feedback, there's always that send feedback button on the side of YouTube, whether you're on desktop or mobile. But more importantly, as a creator, look at how this is impacting the person that's on the other side of that keyboard. Would they enjoy this or would they not? And if they did skip, what did they miss? So sometimes I like to throw little Easter eggs in my video, like, and if you jump to this point, then you missed already where I dived into it, because that's like, you know, 15 seconds into the video, we're into core content. So it's just the first 8 seconds or so, 8 to 10 seconds is just really just to make sure, are you in the right place? Is this the video that you think that it is based on the title and the thumbnail, or did you perceive it to be something different? And if so, it's like you may be looking for this kind of video. If you think this is what this is about, it's not. You need to go here, link in the description or what have you in the information card, kind of a deal. And then we jump into core content. And what I saw in my analytics and in my testings with doing these things and paying attention to these updates, you'll see a lot of people go back and they have to scroll back, because regardless as to what YouTube is suggesting, saying, oh, you just need to go here, I started my stuff way long time ago of getting to the point. And I get so many comments, which is very rewarding to see, specifically on this. It's like, thanks so much for getting to the point at the beginning of the video. So many videos I watched, and I can read this to you verbatim so many times over and over. Everybody's pretty much typing that exact same phrase. Thank you so much for getting to the point. I'm so glad that I found your video. So many people just, it's like it takes them so long to just show me the thing, and you went ahead and showed it to me immediately, instant sub, or you just gained a new subscriber. That's the kind of stuff that I love to see, because it lets me know strategies and stuff is working as we bob and weave. So just gotta bob and weave a little bit better when it comes to YouTube, but more AI updates and stuff is coming down the pipeline. So just look at not as how it may impact you as a creator, but when you think about it from the perspective of the person that's on the keyboard, is this a win for them? Is this a loss for them? If they feel like it's a win, ask yourself why, and what can we do to start making our viewers, our subscribers, have a more enjoyable experience, because we're more concerned about their experience watching our content than we are with just hitting, you know, arbitrary metrics that, or it feels like arbitrary metrics at time, right? So you want longer watch time, make content that's better, richer, gets to the point faster, so people don't have to skip, scan, and scroll as much. And then if you do see, last pro tip here, then we're gonna get to the comments and moving on with the stream. If you do see that people are skipping ahead, it's a lesson there. It's a lesson there. Your audience will train you. Your audience will teach you how they want to be communicated to. So if you're finding it's 4 and 5 minutes that people are skipping ahead, if they wait that long, it takes these many taps on the screen on mobile. Since we have a lot of mobile viewers, it takes a couple taps on the screen to see, are you getting there? Are you getting there? Are you taking too long? I'm out. And it's just that quick, because if they lose trust with you in their viewing session, they usually won't come back, or they'll be reluctant to come back if the topic is juicy enough and the thumbnail looks good enough to them. So something to take into consideration when it comes to that stuff. All right, let's get over into the YouTube sphere, and we'll get into some questions. Don't see anything over on Instagram at the moment, so we're gonna rock and roll. So we have Exploring Canada out here in these real and digital streets saying, finally, I made it to a live. Hello, Diana and creator friends. Well, hello, Exploring Canada. Good to see you. Glad that you are here. It says something weird with the audio. The background music is drowning out, because I forgot to turn it down in the beginning. I noticed, I was like, I like my audio a little bit louder in my headphones personally. But I'm like, that's a little bit too loud. But I'm like, yeah, in the beginning, first couple seconds, like 3, I want it to be a little bit louder, and then it's in English, progressively supposed to go down. I just forgot to turn it down, so you should be good now. Saying many creators used, Hughes News, Views, and Reviews. If that's not a tongue twister, say that 5 times fast. It said many creators use DSL. I'm guessing you mean like DSLR cameras. There are plenty of really good 4K camcorders out there. I just bought the Canon XA60 and love the way it works for me. Why use DSLR cameras instead of camcorders? Great question. And this is something that, especially like Sony just released 2 new camcorders that came out. And then I don't keep up with what Canon is releasing, especially like their camcorder line, or even like Panasonic for that matter, because they produce a lot of those as well. It depends on what's the intended use case behind the camera. It used to be DSLRs back in the day, now it's mirrorless cameras, because we don't have that mirror box in there where the glass or that mirror is actually flipping up and down. Okay, well now we have mirrorless cameras. It's just, you see that sensor chip, and that's pretty much it. The reason why a lot of people, especially content creators on YouTube or across other platforms, prefer to use these smaller cameras is because they're more compact. They're just as powerful, if not more powerful. So that's less weight in their bag. And it doesn't matter that a camcorder may have a 20 times zoom or something like that. Do you want to carry that all the time with you? The answer is no, especially when you're traveling. Do you want to carry all of that with that weight with you? The answer is no. Would you prefer a setup that can easily go into, I'm saying a jacket pocket, but think of not like a, just like if you, what is it, like a Letterman style type, not one of those. So I'm not saying pocketable like that, but just think like a big coat. You got your winter coat on, or kind of transitioning into seasons, got a little bit of a raincoat. Those are bigger pockets. But you put your camera in there. I've done that plenty of times with the lens still on it. If you want to take a photo, if you're into photos, you can do that. Or if you're ready to just pull your camera back out and start vlogging, if you're documenting an experience, recording a talk or whatever, that's great. But mirrorless cameras serve a much greater purpose of getting out of the way of the creator. Carrying a camcorder, number one, it's not sexy. It just called a spade a spade. It's not sexy. It's not fun. It doesn't inspire people to create or make them feel good about their buying decision, more or less, when you look at it just purely aesthetics, right? It'd be different if a nonprofit was looking for a stationary camera that they didn't have to swap lenses or consider lens options for, and they are looking to mostly not have to upgrade, quote unquote, that camera for additional features. So while camcorders could be fine and serve the purposes for some people, for 99% of most creators these days, I'm saying like YouTube content creators more specifically, we don't want that. We want more features, borrowing from what we see photography cameras have, borrowing from what camcorders have, borrowing from what even sometimes cinema cameras have, because if it's just you doing your thing, you want your gear to get out of the way. And then if you need something more, you're willing to go up to that something more, whether that be one of those pro level line camcorders or whether that be a pro level cinema camera, and then you're making that investment there. Otherwise, it's just a waste of money. It's not something that people are going to want to carry, because even a mirrorless camera that's too big, take for example, the A7R Mark 3 or 4 or something like that. Those are really big cameras, heavier. Nobody wants to carry that. So that's why camcorders can be great, but nobody wants to carry that stuff around. It's not fun. You take it down from a tripod, take it with you, like, then the flexibility just isn't there. JFK Productions saying blessed white chocolate day, everybody. Good to see you. Glad that you are here. Saying you're going to catch hell from her. He said white chocolate. He said white chocolate. See, we've converted JFK over from converted him from dark chocolate to white chocolate. Saying YouTube adding a lot except the stuff that we actually want, like a language filter. I wondered if you mean like if it's like more of a profanity filter, or are you referring to something that's more where you can watch somebody from India, for example, and that language is translated in real time, like audibly? Because obviously we have captions and stuff like that. And that is something that they're doing on that latter half, where the audio can now be changed from YouTube. Again, this is not a widely adapted thing yet. This is only out in, I don't know if they're into beta testing now, or if they're still considering it alpha testing or what have you, but where you can change it. So it's something we may see, it depends, but AI more or less will have an AI generated voice that will read to you. So if I'm saying this all in English, which I am, but you could hit that little gear icon, it changes it now to Spanish, and now it is in not my voice, but a voice that translates that into real time. So language filter though too, I mean, you can adjust your YouTube account where you filter out certain words and just keep adding to it. So Hughes News answered your question a couple times there, so just double check that if you're still on stream. What is up, April? Good to see you. Glad that you are here. So does YouTube promote certain large creators? For instance, I'm not subscribed to Think Media, but when I have autoplay on, their videos always play next unless the last video has a linked video. Great question. So here's the thing. If you think of it from, most people think algorithm like it's a big machine that you have to fight to win favor with. It doesn't work like that. The algorithm is based on people. It's you and I. Each person's algorithm that's feeding to them is based off of the kind of content that you prefer to watch. And you have to think YouTube has all of your viewing session details. They have how long you looked at the thumbnail. Did you scroll over the thumbnail on, like say on desktop? Did you scroll over it with your mouse and then you started letting it play a little bit first to see what they're talking about when the captions come up on the video? And then where did your mouse kind of hover after that? Or was it like an instant pass and you moved on? Or was it something where you're like, the time frame of this video is not attractive to me, so I'm gonna put this for watch later, but I'm not gonna get around to it. Like, it knows that, right? Because your watch history is a bunch of watch laters that you never watch. So it could be something like that. So even if you're not subscribed, they're basically re-suggesting to you based on the way you watch, based on the kind of channels that you watch. And we have other people that watch the exact same videos that you do, maybe almost sequentially close to what you do in the same order. We really think that if you're going to let this autoplay and let us continue to automatically suggest other videos to you, that until you tell us you don't want videos from this channel, or you don't want to be like, even if you're not subscribed, which you said in this instance that you're not, even if you're not subscribed to them, we get so many people that are watching this channel, watching this video, that watch other stuff similar to what you watch, that also are subscribed to the other YouTube channels that you did click that red button for. We think this would be a good recommendation for you, unless you say, and you say not interested and tell us why, or you go a layer deeper and say, don't give me any more recommendations from this channel, and then that turns it off for the channel. So that's how YouTube recommends stuff. And it's not about it being a bigger creator. It's more or less, especially you have to look at this from data points, not to get too nerdy, but you have to look at this from data points. There are so many pings to say, yes, 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 I'm getting value out of this. People are going off of the hierarchy of engagement scale, which is to say, like I said, think of it like a pyramid of sorts, or a triangle rather, better word. Think of it like a triangle where I saw the thumbnail, I clicked it, that's a point of engagement. I not only clicked on the thumbnail, did all the things I talked about before, however, I'm now watching and I'm not skipping, or I'm not skipping as much as I have done on other videos. That's an engagement scale. This person or this video or this content has moved me to the point to engage with this content. I hit a like or I hit a dislike because they invoked some kind of emotion out of me. Now we're going another layer deeper. It's like, okay, they made me want to leave a comment, whether it be good or bad. They moved me to take a further action. Another layer on this hierarchy of engagement scale, another layer deeper is, not only did I watch, not only did I like click on it, not only did I not skip as much, and I hit the like button or dislike, or I left a good comment or a bad comment, I just left some engagement, but maybe I shared it, whether that be for a good reason or for a bad reason. There are so many trigger points, instead of like, we got so many good positives from people that fit this criteria. We think this is a really good recommendation for you. So if you let us autoplay, we're gonna queue it up for you and let you decide whether you like it or not. So it's stuff like that. When it comes to that, we got a super chat in the building. Thank you so much for the super chat, giving from your heart to my home. Thank you so much. Saying, do you offer coaching? Yes, I do. You go to Diana Gladney, just my name, first and last name.com. And over on the contact, it's like, I don't know if we have any moderators in the chat right now, but I'll drop it in the chat real quick. So it's Diana Gladney, gladney.com/contact. And if you go there, there's a little button there where you can click on it for coaching, or you can submit a contact form if you have more questions or something that you need to discuss, or you want more clarity around first. But there is a button there that'll take you through that allow you to schedule for coaching. So yes, coaching is available. Another quick super chat we got in the building. Thank you so much from Mr. Derek Roberts. Thank you so much. Giving from your heart to my home. I appreciate that. Saying, what Viking asked, LOL, 5-hour stream. Well, let me go back to the what is this? The comments. Catch up here. Viking said something. So is that April's question? Hold on, I gotta catch up. So I don't see it. Did I miss somebody? Let me know. So for the super chat question, Derek, 5-hour stream? Yes, we did a 5-hour stream though, just to clarify. It's called the 5-hour energy live streams. I don't do them often. I did one recently, but yeah, 5-hour energy live streams. It's a good time. That's all I can say. It's a good time. But yeah, Errol, to that question or what have you, that's why. It has so many data points, so many different points of where YouTube is basically taking all of its resource and stuff to try to best serve you. That's all. And when you have a larger channel, it's more data points of success or failure. And I'm saying success or failure as in good or bad. When somebody says, yes, I'm getting value out of this because of X, Y, and Z, it's proven. Like there's certain videos of mine that I see comments, I don't care how old that video continues to get. It's proven that if you're looking for stuff around this area, you're watching other similar like content and searching for certain answers, it knows this video is going to serve you. People go through that hierarchy of engagement scale and it continues to serve. So that's why. It's not a big channel thing. It's just a data point thing, if you think about it like that. Saying camcorders don't have interchangeable lenses, do they? No, they don't. If you're looking at professional camcorders, they don't. It's similar to like when you think of the Sony ZV-1. What are they looking at, the Mark 1 and Mark 2, just that specific model of camera? When you're looking at it from that standpoint, it's just whatever the lens is what it is. But those lenses are great. A lot of times you may see an f2, f2.8 or something like that. But if you look at news gathering or like TV, news station, stuff like that, like I love to watch people in that space because I learn so much. That is a camera that they prefer because, so I watched, and this is not to get political, please let's not go there. This has nothing to do with nothing other than the context of how they were using a camera. Everybody good and gravy? Say, if you locked in, let's stay locked in. Let's not get off target, okay? But he's watching, he was documenting, and part of his job is to work on the border crisis that's happening in Texas. And so I'm just trying to think of the city, but I can't recall the city at the moment, specifically where he was filming at. And so they have to be back at a certain line for the news and for the media. So if the line is back here, but the action is happening over here, and you got to get past so many barriers, sometimes you'll see them stand up on their trucks so that they can zoom in. They don't have the time in that footage to swap lenses, so it doesn't make sense. Furthermore, nor do you want to swap lenses like that because you may need to zoom all the way into the action or something that's happening, zoom all the way back and come to the person that is the talent that's covering that story. And so you need to be able to do that seamlessly, smoothly. They have like built-in ND filters, so it's not a great option to have interchangeable lenses at that point because they don't have time to go from a 24 to 70 and then pop on a 600 like because that's real-time news type stuff. So things like that. Hughes News saying, no, they don't. And that's the difference. My Canon camcorder has a fast lens, 2 XLR ports, manual audio levels control. And that's great if that's what you like. And if that is what floats your boat or finds your lost remote, no complaints here. It's just a matter of preference. And the creator community just has a preference of that. It's like, unless I need that stuff 24/7, I don't want that stuff on my camera 24/7. So I'm looking into now like an XLR adapter because that Sony makes those for the XLR hot shoe. I don't want that on my camera all the time. I keep my camera as lean and mean as possible. I don't want to carry that stuff all the time. If I'm going to, like I took photos and some videos for my nephew's, one of my nephew's graduations. I had the Sony A7 IV and the 70-200 Mark II. Beautiful lens. F2.8, beautiful lens. I carry all like imagine if that had the XLR ports on it, like if it was a camcorder, if it had the XLR ports on it, it's got the top handle. I don't need all of this. Like it's a nice night. I'm gonna throw it back in my bag when I'm done in my little sling bag. So just different use cases, and that is the biggest thing when you're choosing any camera. What is your intended use case? As quiet as kept, which is never quiet. when I have people that email and they send in for requests and they really need some help, or like the person said on Instagram, sent me a DM, and I get those DMs on Instagram and they're like, hey, like it'll be the same kind of frustration. It's like, man, it's like I see everybody getting on these mirrorless cameras. You got to choose a lens and blah, blah, blah. Why can't I just use a camcorder? I really like this option. I'm like, hey, if that's what you like, it will best serve you, get it. You have nobody to compete with your money. Like, only you have your debit card number and maybe your wife or your spouse. But otherwise, you have to swipe that card. You got to put those digits in, or let the autofill fill in for you. You don't have to explain your purchasing decisions to nobody. And I have had people where a camcorder is what was recommended, and that's what they bought, and that's what they're still using and very happy with it. So I don't care what someone uses. I'm just not going to go that deep into cameras and stuff like that. When somebody comes to my channel and we're talking about stuff from a camera tech and choosing and making that buying decision type thing, they've already decided the smartphone is not for them. They've already decided, like the camcorders and maybe a center cameras, like we're fitting and we're serving this lane, and I just don't go outside of that lane because, number one, it's not of interest to me, and number two, it's not what I believe best serves my ideal target audience, which is, like I said, within the lane and vertical that we talk about. I am Tracy Lee. Good to see you. Glad that you're here. That is a beautiful thumbnail photo, so that looks super cute. Saying, what lens are you using here for the live stream? Well, I am using the Sony 35mm f1.8 lens with the OSS, which is the optical steady shot. What that does is it's an APS-C lens. I am using my Sony ZV-E1, but the way, or the reason why I like that is because it's my favorite lens ever that Sony has made that I have. It's my favorite lens. And when I switch from APS-C to full frame, I'm like, I'm not getting rid of my lens. I'll get rid of my cameras or whatever as I'm transitioning over, but not getting rid of my lens. And so that's what that is. So I just need to zoom in. I showed this between the last stream and then the stream before that. We went over specifics of like camera stuff, put all the icons on the screen so you can see exactly what I see. I think it's like right past when you get to 1.1, at the end of that, cross right over into 1.2 times crop with a clear image zoom. Then at that point is where you'll see. So you just see a little bit of, what do you call it? I need more coffee, which I have, thankfully. Vignette, mercy. So you see a little bit of vignette on the edge. People on Instagram, you can't see that because you're only getting the vertical feed, which is all gravy. But I like that personally in this framing. So I keep it in there, but that's what I use. You can use it on APS-C because that's the lens, but you can also use it on full frame. You just either got to go into APS-C mode or what have you. So I'm using camcorder in more of a studio setup in our nonprofit. So good point. Yeah. You'd be surprised how, because the other thing too, it is so much easier deal wise to pick up a camcorder for nonprofits and stuff like that. And the other thing is they don't have as much disposable income as individuals might, because it needs to go through a chain of command and process. And so when I've talked with nonprofits and you get on these Zoom calls with the board has a certain budget they are not willing to go past because they don't see the value in what that does. What I've done when I'm working with a nonprofit, especially if it was something where it was a local entity and I can see that person face to face, I can give them a real-time side-by-side of me and my camera gear and why it would make sense to have both. I don't think it's a or kind of situation, especially you look at nonprofits, churches and stuff like that. It's not an or, it should be an and. And then two, I'll get off my soapbox about that in a minute, because nonprofits make me feel some kind of way. So much work, great work that can be done, is always such like hesitancy with just doing the work. But I was like, you know what? I said, we need to, as one church I was going to, I was like, we needed like a camera. And it's like, well, how much does it cost? Like $1,000. It's like, you just said it, like $1,000 is nothing. I said, no. I said, but in the greater mission and the purpose behind what we're doing, why we're doing, who we're going to reach, and the lives that we're going to impact, if I would spend $1,000 out of my own budget and just me.com, I don't understand why several of us can't give a small fraction of that to equal the $1,000 and get that result to achieve a much bigger impact. Everybody's mouths shut up. It's like, so when it comes to nonprofit, it's a great work to be done. And I think, like I said, camcorders is a great option if that's what you need. get going. No excuse content creation. Don't need to buy anything else outside of that. But I do still see a need in there when it comes to mirrorless cameras and whatnot. So it sounds like camcorder has a lot going for it. I stick with my ZV-10 for the flexibility. Yeah, ZV-10 is like, my other one's still over there, still a workhorse. So I have the Sony ZV-10 for on the go content creation. Exactly. Staying mobile, light, ready to go. Saying no, so you referring back to the YouTube bit, you said, no, I like to be able to exclude Indian videos in my search. Okay, because Lord knows when I sort by upload, it's just all. So the other thing with that, when you're, I don't mind. It's so many amazing creators that are in other countries. I actually do want to watch. It would be cool if you could filter to say, don't show me anything if you don't have transcripts for it. If it's not, because sometimes the generated captions so wrong and so bad on YouTube when you're translating another language into another language. I think the AI audio audibly transcribing it, and if it's smart enough to say this subject and verb predicate type thing don't work, it's just like, this don't make sense, essentially. It's like, no, the subject verb agreement's not matching here. It's like, be wise in doing this, YouTube. I think it's a lot of legs to that. I do understand though, just wanting to say like, no, I only want to stay in this vertical, in this lane. And that may be something that comes, but I like seeing content from other creators, and I will muddle through the auto-generated captions because it's so much to learn from somebody in a whole other culture, whether I understand their language or not. And I have sat through videos, it's no captions or anything, but I'm not watching it for what they're audibly saying. I can about guess from what I'm seeing. So it's like other tech YouTubers that I watch that are Indian. I have no idea what they're saying audibly. And the auto-generated stuff is trash in the bag. But they're great storytellers, great filmmakers, great content creators, and they do an amazing job with community building. And so it's so much stuff that I want to learn from other creator spaces. I just want that language barrier to be cleared up a bit there. So yeah, Veteran Biker, like I said, I do offer coaching. Drop that in the chat there as well. Okay, Veteran Biker saying I had the same question as well. I wonder if she offers group special rates, like if we had some of the same questions. So I haven't talked about this too much here, but I talked about it before, and so I'll put this in the middle so even the folks on Instagram can see. So this right here is the new program that I'm building. This is going to be a live creator cohort. I just started recommending this. It'll be about 1 or 2 podcast episodes away since I just recorded the one where it's being referenced now and recommended. It's going to be about 2 more weeks before that episode maybe goes live. But depending on how our schedule is, we're getting it in ahead. So that's why the date is not quite clear. But Creator Jumpstart is going to be a live creator cohort. And so we are going to be going through content creation stuff. We're going to be going through content marketing, copywriting, and hashtag all the things. So especially when it comes to like sales page videos, which I'm so excited to dive into. So that is something where we will be doing that because courses are amazing. Courses sell. Courses do great. I've sold courses. They've done great. The only thing is I want to see people have more success and not a bunch of people buy and then not as many people, not what I would want to see, convert to finishing. So this is where we go through this stuff in real time. Take whatever camera, bring your gear. We actually go through, fix the stuff. If there's any quality differences when it comes to video, if everybody's good and set and ready to go and stuff like that, we move forward. So we're actively going through the course content, but we also have those live group calls as well. And then that'll expand out from there. But that's what Creator Jumpstart is going to be diving into. That wait list is, I think, let me double check real quick for the URL just to make sure I don't, where's my Google document? Let's see here. I think start.life. Let's see, AI video. Trying to see which URL I used. I don't remember. Right now, I can't think of it. But I'll probably put it down later as I'm going through the notes or whatever for to add it in the description for YouTube, but I don't have it at the moment. But I'll put that link, and that stuff will be something you'll see it advertised in the videos. And you'll see it all through the Friday live streams, but that is something that is coming very, very soon. All right. What is up, Ravens Talk with Yolanda? Good to see you. Glad that you are here. Saying the best video explaining Ecamm scenes overlay. I actually did a, it was a course that wound up going, we put it on YouTube. It's on the Ecamm live channel, and then there is, I'm actually making my own updated version of that. I was just going through the outline last night, where it's on my channel for this one's maybe 2 or 3 years old, but it's still a lot of good stuff there. But I can show you real quick if you just want to see Ecamm. But just like, it's a course, it's like Ecamm Simplified is what we wind up calling it, because my brand is Video Simplified. So we call the course Ecamm Simplified. But we go through, or I go through and show you all the different stuff, complete walkthrough. So nothing's left off if you just want to go through the basics. But if you think of scenes like a house, your scenes is like, what's the main building? Where's the main place that this stuff is at? That's what your scene is going to be. So this main scene is going to be called Just Me, because it literally is just me on screen. There's no anything else going on other than when I pick a comment, and because I need the Instagram window open so I can see if we do have any comments. Just like I saw Carlos Phoenix saying I use a Pocket 3 and an iPhone. Dope setup. Also really good mobile setup as well. So I can see that because Instagram been playing me the last couple streams. But usually my stream setup is a little bit more organized, but I'll show it to you. Let us go. All right, so now you can see what I see. So this is Ecamm. I try not to have my stuff looking this messy. The Instagram window is just throwing that off, but you can see that over there. But usually microphone is up in the top right, audio is at the top. And again, this looks super messy. I hate that I'm even showing this because it's literally only for today. The scenes is basically the main house. What's the main house, and what are the elements? If you look at the overlays, what are the elements that go in the house? The furnishings. The only furnishing we're gonna have on this part is a comment. So if I bring up your last comment, can't see that there. If I bring up your last comment, then that's the only thing that's on the screen. It's just me and this. If I switched over to, let's see, I go here where I talked about one of the podcast episodes, I think it's the one that went out this week, talked about my content quadrant, how to make more content in less time. So if I'm going through that, this scene is now specifically me showing myself, and the elements that it's also included is the graphic of the content quadrant. Why do I have it set up this way? Is because this is what would best communicate what I need to show and have me on screen. A lot of different ways to do this is just the way I prefer. What are the elements that are included in this? Well, it might be a comment, like this was from, I think, last week, where we had Steve over in the chat. So I now have a comment. Now it's 3 furnishings, 3 pieces of furniture that's going in here. I have myself, which is my video. I have my content quadrant graphic. I have a background that's for the brand, our branded background for the live streams and stuff like this. And then I have a comment. And so those overlays are elements that go inside the house, being the scene. And that's pretty much how I have stuff set up. I build out whole scenes depending on what I'm doing, what I'm working on, what client are we working on, what project am I doing, what event are we working on. And so it's like, if I'm look at it in a system, very, very system oriented, so that based on whatever I'm working on, what system, what strategy, what outline, what setup is going to best serve this. We got a countdown timer with welcome music at an event. The next scene that it should go to is maybe welcoming the Zoom chats and the digital viewers or whatever the case is. And that's also a buffer for the real time for the speaker to come out and hashtag all the things. So maybe we're playing their video of their intro, which may be like 60 seconds or less. Next scene, next element that we now need to go to would be that main speaker on camera. So it's a just me screen for just the person. Then another element is when we go into Q&A. So I thought about doing it this week. I don't know how I feel about it right now, but we'll see what happens in the chat. Like I said, I was going to bring back how we initially started the Friday Live Helpcast, which was bringing people on live to actually answer your questions live. That's how this show started, and that's what I honestly enjoyed doing. But I'm like, do I want to do it this week, or should I wait for next week? And I'm like, I think I'm just going to do the regular stream today. So that's another scene where I go from me plus one other guest that would be on the side. And then when that person leaves and we're done with their question, then it comes back to just me. So I always base my scenes based on what is the focus and the intent behind what I'm doing, and how can I make this super seamless, easy, that when I have to go to the restroom, I tell my friend Jenny, like, hey, Jenny, if somebody asks a question and they go to the mic, click this button. If it's just Ray on screen, click this button. And she'd be like, got it. I'm like, wonderful. I'm going to the restroom before we have a cleanup on aisle 9. So, yeah. And saying that lens, a camera, and an XLR setup would be a workout. When I tell you I use that Sony A7 IV, that's 70-200, and this is the Mark II. This is the lighter version. That lens is, that lens is so beautiful. Oh my gosh. I never wanted a 70-200 lens until that one. Oh man, I like that lens so much. I just don't have a use case for it. Like it would be a nice decoration. I have no use case for it, but it is such a nice lens. Man, when I say my poor little wrist got strained, my arm is shaking, I'm like, this is for people that lift weights, for real. Derek Roberts, what's up, brother? Saying, what f-stop or bokeh are you using for the live stream, if I may ask? You may indeed ask. We are using f2.8. So this lens is an f1.8, so it can get even blurrier. But, I mean, for what? Past the point, it just becomes like really weird. It feels like those Zoom calls, which is not bad. I've done it before. I've done it plenty of times. We used to do it at f1.8. But I wrote a book and it became a bestseller, and I want to show it off, at least like the image of it without it having to be clear and all that stuff. I want my photo. I want just a little bit so you can see what's going on without it being distracting. So I was like, let's do f2.8. So that's what it is for the streams now. But I used to do it at f1.8. But yeah, this is the Sony 35mm f1.8 lens, the OSS APS-C version, even though I'm using my Sony ZV-E1. It just is my favorite lens ever. I just absolutely love it. What is up, Just Tornado? Good to see you. Glad that you are here. I always really like your background. That blue and gold just pops. It's part of my brand colors. I love that too, but it just really pops. It just really accents you well. Saying, I am Tracy Lee, saying, love it, you look amazing. Why, thank you. Thank you so much. David Hunt in the building, saying, I've been lurking and working. Hey man, I feel you. I used to, when I say I had 3 screens when I worked at the bank, 2 large monitors, and then a laptop screen. And so they were all seamless. And the bottom right corner of that laptop screen, which is always as far away from viewable eyes as possible, had a little screen in the lower right hand corner, and I would just be looking at videos for YouTube and cameras and stuff like that, because I was learning. I was trying to figure all this stuff out. So happy white chocolate day indeed, my good brother. It is a fine white chocolate day. Bloody hell. Let's see here. Every Friday is a white chocolate day. Okay, we got all the hellos. Saying I do mind, and here's why. Captions suck. I said, and are too small to read, so I avoid most non-English creators. Saying I effing hate it. You know what? I understand. It's, again, it's always a preference of what you want, and I do understand, like, if I'm having a write down problem, I need to fix this. I have 5 minutes to figure this out before I need to do whatever the thing is that I'm trying to, sort for. Or more realistic, it's bad weather on the way. I'm out and about, and for the life of me, every once a year, yeah, it feels like once a year, maybe like 18 or so months, I need to change the windshield wiper blades on the car. Can't remember how because it's only a once a year thing, barely. And so look up a YouTube video. Well, one day bad weather was on the way. And so I'm like, hurry up. I just know, like, that's not the video. I don't want to see an ad. That's not what I'm looking for. It's like, where's the make and model for my car for these daggone windshield wiper blades so I can take it off before I get drenched in the rain. And it's also freezing. So it's like the weather is about to turn. So I understand. Right now problem, need a right now solution. I need to get to what I need to get to. So I understand. It makes sense. It's like, to be honest, the only non-English creators I like are Asian music creators, because they use the same gear I do. But man, my search can be overloaded with the indie creators. I love the indie creators but by the way, especially when get a life. Like I said, I don't mind. I'd like to see creators from all over. But again, if I am looking specifically for something, then yeah, of course I want to see from what I can actually understand, because the auto captions, that AI audio thing has not happened yet. I'm looking forward to it personally. I want to see more of a diverse feed, honestly. I'm excited for it. Some videos that start in English and flip to Hindi feel like a trick, but I watch them anyway. Saying, yeah, that once I didn't have that happen. I'm like, was I understanding Hindu? And then all of a sudden it's switching. I'm like, no, we don't know that language. I'm like, and you'll be like, and it's like, and then for the Sony ZV-E1, you just need to make sure that you change it. And I'm like, wait a minute, I heard something. I'm like, I know I understand what I just heard. And so, only thing that makes me question is Japanese stuff now. So, and I'm like, I'm starting to understand some of this stuff. Just keep it up. Be speaking like Doc Rocket out here. Said I love and use Ecamm 2. It's the only way for me. The only way. Saying Ms. Gloria in Live Streaming Pros has a ton of Ecamm stuff. Indeed, she does. So should just be like at Live Streaming Pros for Luria's channel. She does cover a lot of stuff, 100%. Saying Ravens Talk with Iana saying, question, would you please show your Ecamm comment settings so I can see how your comments are set up when you display them on the screen? I'm having a bit of an issue with this. Absolutely. So let's go back. Again, this is not my usual setup and screen layout, and this is not how I teach having this set up. This is just because I have this over here, which will probably cancel out in a couple minutes because it only goes up to an hour on Instagram. What I usually do is over here in the right hand side of the screen, all of that is the comments. The only thing that I do is click on it to obviously go to the screen. So now I'm gonna move this out the way. And if I click on the, let me bring it back up. If I click on the pencil tool, let me get this stuff out of the way. I just need a bigger monitor. Bigger monitors will solve this problem. This is what it looks like for what I have. It's set to the style, it's set to dynamic. The color, I don't have a specific color outline, so it is just a black, but it's at 50%, which is why it's not a solid black background, and it's faded. So the opacity down here, you want to change that to 50%. If you want it to be more of that gradient look, which is what I like, so that you can still see anything, like you see my hands and all that stuff, see through. So if you don't want that, if you want to take it where it is a solid black or whatever color, then you can do that. I prefer 50 just because I just kind of like it. Text margin, I just have this set to 10. So no borders on this right now or anything like that. Border width, none of that stuff is enabled since this is set to none. If you did want to do a gradient or something like that, or one of these other features, let's say I want to do my brand colors, and I'm going to pick these, and then this little circle will let me see, like I like the blue in the top left and then the gold in the right for my other scene and stuff. So then I'll do that. How thick do I want that border to be? I can make that a bit more thinner so it's not as pronounced and it just kind of gives that glow and aesthetic to it. Or you can make it super thick depending on how you like the stuff, but I don't think so. We'd probably go down to here. So that's about a 3. Corner radius, how round do you want your corners? And you can choose if you want a point on certain colors and not corners. Do you want a point on a certain corner or not? Or do you want it rounded? So if you look in the bottom right, folks on Instagram probably not gonna be able to see this so well, but you'll see how it's becoming a point and then it becomes round. What is up, Purple Paisley Planner over on Ingram saying hello. Happy Friday. Good to see you. Glad that you're here. But you can make that adjustment. I just have mine set to 18. So it's still a little bit boxy, but otherwise rounded, but not like circular. Other than that, opacity set to 100 for the text and all that stuff. Nothing has been changed down here when it comes to any of this stuff. If you did want to have a shadow, you could turn that on, and then that becomes better, and adjust the blur and all that stuff. I don't, because I don't have usually where any of this stuff is on. Turn that off. And so this is just how I have mine right now. If you liked it, you can change it to that, but that's what I have. I'm really, when it comes to certain stuff, and then one thing else, I have it about, let's call it 75%-ish when it comes to how big that person's icon is. So about 75%-ish, so we can see who we're talking to in the chat, and you kind of have a face to the comment and whatnot, or at least the icon, more or less. But that's what my stuff is for Ecamm comments. I don't try to, how can I say this nicely? I do not try to overproduce sometimes simple stuff personally, because a lot of distracting stuff becomes distracting. And the comments only going to be up for about 30 seconds or less, depending on what's what, and then it's going to fade out to continue to address the thing. But it just depends on how your show is branded, what you want to be visible, what your aesthetic and your vibe is. Some stuff can look really nice. I'm just a plain Jane, so I prefer to just keep it simple. Simple serves. Derek saying, can you expand on your current vignette edge look? So it is f2.8 with a crop. So what's happening, what you see, the reason why you see a vignette there is a natural vignette based on the lens. I'm not adding in an effect. It just is there based on the lens being an APS-C lens and the camera being a full frame camera. What most larger megapixel sensors have, so if you think about the Sony a7 IV, for example, that one has a much larger megapixel count than 12. The Sony ZV-E1 has a 12 megapixel sensor. Imagine just like 12 blocks versus something like 26 or 36 or something like that. You have way more blocks, so you have more details. What those cameras that have a higher megapixel count do, or are able to do, is when you go into video mode, photo mode, and you have this full frame camera and an APS-C lens and attach it, the camera recognizes, oh, this is an APS-C lens. Would you like to go into crop mode? And then you don't have any vignette. You don't have to make any adjustments. You can use clear image zoom, and it'll look as if it was on an actual APS-C camera, even though this is full frame. You're just not getting the rest of those other pixels available to you, for example. On the ZV-E1, it does not have that setting in video because it's only 12 megapixels. At a point to where you continue to zoom in and zoom in and zoom in, you will lose detail, and more detail than Sony is willing to natively introduce on the camera. So while you can use clear image zoom to zoom in to remove the vignette, it will not natively do it as if you were in photo mode. So I use clear image zoom because I'm not worried about that. And I rather enjoy my 35mm lens. So you can zoom in clear image zoom and then in 4K on this camera, on any of the Sony cameras. In 4K, you can zoom up to 1.5 times. As you're zooming in, and I showed this about 2 live streams ago, I think. As you're zooming in, you'll see it's like, oh, you're at a 1 times crop, 1.1 times crop. And then at some point it crosses over into 1.2. As soon as it crosses over into 1.2, I stop. But I like the vignette effect for this live stream. Camera's not moving. It's not going to shake. It's not going to do anything. So you won't see it going in and out as you would on an APS-C lens on the ZV-E1 when vlogging. So I like it. And so I just will look for right when it gets to 1.2 and just make sure my little vignette is there, and that's it. So it's just something that otherwise you would see it come in not all that much, but you'll see a much more pronounced vignette. I'm just using clear zoom to push it out until you only see a little bit. And that's simply because of that back ring cover on the lens. It's fit for APS-C. When you have one that's fit for full frame, they connect together. There's no vignette. There's nothing to block out because it's made for that size sensor. So that's how that works. Echo Photos. Good to see you. Glad that you are here. Noel. Hello, Noellington over in Instagram. Saying that's my friend. Thank you for showing up for us. Always a pleasure. And I see Mary Claire over there in the building. Good to see you, Miss Mary Claire. Glad that you are here. April saying, have you ever collaborated with Roberto Blake? If not, it would be amazing. You're both incredible teachers and entrepreneurs. Why, thank you, April. And shout out to my brother from another mother, brother Roberto Blake. We do not get a chance to talk all that often. We will see each other most of the time in passing. And I think the most time that we spent together was when I spoke at People of Video, and I think that was 2021. And we got a chance to hang out, but not like that for real. So it's like we know of each other. We've been in the same circles. We've done stuff and projects with companies and stuff together, but we've never like sat down and just be like, yo, you know, whatever kind of a stuff. So, and then when we were in Albany together, I think brother was hanging out in the lobby, and I'm like, y'all, it's late. I'm an old lady when it comes to like time. I'm going to bed. I am going to sleep. I'm not staying up. Doc got a chance to stay up and they talked and, you know, chatted up or whatever. But brother Roberto Blake gets all praise for me. He's a dope creator. At some point, I would like for us to actually become, I would say we're more acquaintances, but I would like for us to actually become friends or whatever, because it's like we'd be around it, and it'd be so many people like that. It's like we'd be around each other, and then it's not until like one of us is like, hey, we always around each other. Why don't we like actually talk? And be like, yeah. And then it just happened. So that's not happened yet with Roberto. So eventually it's like, we'll see. We shall see. But he's a super dope creator. We got a super chat in the building coming in from Ravens Talk with Jan. Thanks you so much for giving from your heart to my home. I greatly appreciate it. Saying very helpful, Diana. Thank you for assisting me with the eCam comments. Always a pleasure and glad to be of service. 100%. So let's see here. Tatiana Teaches, good to see you. Glad that you are here. Saying hello and happy Friday. Happy Friday indeed. Friday is a fantastic day, if I do say so myself, and I do say so myself. Saying nut y'all got me searching for the HDMI cord for the Canon Vixia R700 that's collecting dust to see if it will connect up in eCam. I promise you it will. Furthermore, what's funny is there are so many large productions that use and I'm saying like not large YouTube channels. I mean like a very large professional industry leading production uses eCam, not a like only one of them. It's so many that use eCam for that show. Or sometimes like if I'm spending time with my family and it's like me and my mom, if we're watching the news, I never watch the news. They love to watch the news. I don't watch the news. We watch the news and I'm like, I can make that in eCam. And I've been wanting to just like nerd out for like 2 minutes and just be like, watch me build this in eCam. And then it's funny. It's like, I'll see some productions. I'm like, oh, y'all using eCam. Y'all not slick. I know us when I see us. And so, but here's the cool thing. Here's some, if you got a camcorder, if you got an older camera, even older DSLR camera, if you have the AC power cord, if it has an AC power cord, which I kind of miss, like those DC connections just being like, it used to be where you have like a DC connection into the camera or like devices. I know I'm dating myself a little bit there. I miss that. But if you get you like an AC power adapter or just get you some fresh batteries, it is amazing what you could use that stuff for. So I was coaching on the channel, Herc Nugent does an amazing channel, talks about a lot of live streaming stuff, and he's using a bunch of A6000s to show like behind his head and stuff and showing off the side angle and hashtag all the things. And so I've been asked like a couple times, like, are you gonna get any other camera angles and stuff? I'm like, why? So you can see my little feet up on the stool under the desk, and see I dropped the SD card and didn't have time to pick it up right before we went live. And it's like, no, y'all not finna get me out here. Like, I got some coffee, I got some water, post-it notes, books, my book, Lord have mercy, legal pads, you know, for writing notes and such, and plus a journal, 3 more journals. And it's like, y'all don't need to see that. Mind your business. Like, it's not happening. But when I do need to show the desk, you can take a camcorder. It'd be fantastic for this. If you did need a top-down shot, if you did need that secondary camera angle, what I would encourage that you do is spend some time color matching, and it doesn't take a lot. And some things can be adjusted, not within like picture profile type, color grading-esque type settings. There are some minor tweaks to the image that you can do solely by adjusting the white balance. I really don't think people understand how powerful the white balance impacts the quality of your image and the look of skin tones, and the way that colors are presented. But if you have, like, for example, like it's got a little bit of a greener color cast, has more of like a yellow color cast, without changing anything, picture profiles, you do this on any camera, you can adjust the white balance. And I showed this, like I said, a couple streams ago when I put all my camera settings and we went really nerdy into all of that stuff. You can adjust the white balance and pull some of that stuff out or add to. Really cool stuff that you can do when it comes to white balance. But yeah, take a look, play with it. So one of my favorite non-English creators is Japanese musician John Peach. She's awesome and not Indian. Brother, you let some culture into your life. And it's like, but music channels is not my thing on YouTube. So, but whatever floats your boat, finds your lost remote. Sam in the building, good to see you. Glad that you're here. Saying, hi Diana. Speaking of lenses, would you rather do an 11mm lens or a 14mm full frame lens on a Sony a7C? Do you know which one would be lighter too? Of course, the lighter of the two would be the Sony 11mm f1.8 lens. Now, here's the kicker with the a7C, and I'm speaking from experience. Most stuff I'm talking about, I'm speaking from experience. It's just not everything gets produced on the channel because it's like, it becomes a for what moment. It's not worth the video. So 11mm is going to be smaller and lighter because it's an APS-C lens. The difference when you're using the Sony a7C, could be the Mark 1 or Mark 2, it doesn't matter. It does have enough of a megapixel count on the sensor in order for you to pop that lens on and go into an APS-C mode. I'm going to imagine that the focus for this would be for vlogging because 11 and 14mm is in that frame. Now, if it's full frame, since you did say, I'm guessing it's either one or two things, an 11mm APS-C and versus like a 14mm full frame, or it's 11mm full frame and a 14mm full frame. So let's go through quickly both options. Let's say 11mm APS-C, 14mm full frame. The difference will be in quality of how much detail you're getting, but maybe not enough for nobody in your audience to recognize. When you pop on an APS-C lens on top of a full frame sensor, if it's in APS-C crop mode, like in this camera, sticking with the a7C, yes, you have more quality because of what it is or whatever, being full frame, but at the same time, you also don't, as if it was going to a full frame, not full frame, as if it was going to an APS-C camera instead. Meaning, if I put an 11mm APS-C on a full frame camera, and I take that same 11mm APS-C lens and I put it on an APS-C camera, even something like the ZVE10, I'm going to get much higher quality out of the APS-C variation of that because I'm losing megapixels to use that crop mode. I even lose some when I use clear image zoom here, just a little bit, but not enough that I would care or anybody else would notice. Nobody ever complains. So it is a difference, and it is quite a bit of a crop to go from 11mm APS-C and then you're cropped down, so you're not getting all of what that camera can do. And that's fine for vlogging and on the go, because most of the time, documenting, capturing, and not being annoyed with what you're carrying is the main goal with you vlogging. It's like the main thing. Is this cool enough to where I'm going to bring it with me and it is not annoying to keep around with me all day long? Speaking of Luria earlier, when we were at Ecamm Creator Camp last year, she was like, Danny, you always got your camera. And I'm like, I know. Because I love vlogging when I go out of town and documenting my experience and spending time with my friends. And so I don't want those memories to only live in my head. I want to have a visual representation of that exist. Not trying to grow a vlogging channel. It's like I want to see my own experiences and have fun. And so that's what I care about, which is why I use a 12mm APS-C budget lens on the ZV-E1 when I'm going out of town vlogging and stuff like that. Because that's not the point. I'm not trying to make a movie, right? Now, let's go to the other side of that. 14mm full frame. Probably will be a little bit heavier, but not necessarily by much. And counting grams becomes irrelevant, honestly, when you look at some women's purses, because what the hell are y'all carrying? It's like bricks on top of bricks in there. So let's not even go there. So the little bit of a grams difference is nothing compared to what most people's purses are. I don't carry a purses, so I can be aggressive here. So it's not anything that would make a huge difference. The biggest difference, though, in the vlogging aspect, do you want to carry it? That's all. Do you feel like carrying it? Or is it just big enough that you say, oh, I'm just gonna leave it in the hotel room this time, and then I'll take it out tomorrow? Or you put it away, it's like, I don't feel like it. When you start getting those kind of feelings, you know you got the wrong setup. And it's not the wrong because of the quality. You just know that this is not working for me because I bought this stuff to use it and I don't feel like using it. I'm annoyed with using it. Like, it's annoying to take my stuff away. I take a setup that I never feel annoyed with it, which is why, Luria can make the comments like, from when we get up to when we get, yes, I'm documenting, I'm vlogging, I'm having a great, fantastic time. It's not annoying for me to carry, but I have done those setups where it's annoying to carry. So it's not gonna be too much weight. It's just a matter of, is it heavy enough that you don't want to carry it? Then you know you need to swap. So just see which one works better for you. But if you just want to ultimate lean and mean, quality is not the point. 11mm is going to be the way to go. Purple Paisley Planner saying, thank you for the knowledge. This is good to know. You are most welcome. Glad to be of service. Derek saying, can you replicate that vignette on APS-C, like on the Sony ZV-10? Sorry to double down on the question. No biggie. So what it's all about. Answer questions here on the Helpcast. So let's see. Can I replicate that on no. I would have to adapt. I'm basically having to make a reason for me to have a vignette in order for me to have a vignette. What that would look like if I was doing this on APS-C and like real-time footage, I would need something like, oh man, a full frame. You could, but it's like you're going out of your way to do it. It's just like a natural, easy thing to do on like APS-C lens to full frame camera versus other way around. Like, only way I've done it naturally and in a real-time scenario is if I took, and it's back there, you'll see that little circular object right there. That is the that's the Canon EF-M full frame, what do you call it? It's the full frame to APS-C. Hell, what the hell is that thing called? It's like a piece of glass in there. I don't know right now. I can't think of what it's called. What is the name of you? Jeez Louise, I can't think of it. And I know it's right on the top of like my brain. I can't think of it, but whatever. And so we will put that on the Canon M50 to be able to use full frame lenses, but you could get a vignette on it. So you would need to take a full frame lens and put it on there, but it's like, I don't know. Yeah, it's like, it's you going out of your way to try to do it. And if you wanted a vignette or something, you do better. If it's live, like a live stream like this, you do better to make an overlay and like make something that otherwise is transparent and has a vignette and slap that on top of the image. Then do the same thing in like editing and add in a vignette that way. You do better to go that route, and that'll be way easier than trying to natively do it so it automatically comes out the camera without any effects. So like you could, but I wouldn't try to replicate it by doing like a full frame lens with some kind of like the can't think of what the hell the thing's called now, but yeah. So hopefully that kind of answers it with brain fog there. Jason Herman, good to see you. Glad you're here, saying hey there. Just to let you know, the audio is very low. I have my Mac almost at max and YouTube at max, and you sound about right. So I would say double check. So we did audio checks and stuff like that earlier. Double checked your volume for the YouTube video itself. Sometimes what most people will find is that is low. But we do audio checks around here, so if anybody else is having audio issues as well, let me know, and then we'll go through and play with that. But it's only so far I can push the audio levels, because then at that point I would be peaking. So let me know if anybody else is having issues and whatnot. Saying that being a very chill live stream collaboration between me and Brother Roberto, I don't know. Shoot, hit Brother Roberto up. We'll have to see. I don't know. Because Brother Roberto liked to stream for a long time too, so it's like I don't know. We'll see what could happen with that. I might be able to finagle that one. We'll see if we get Brother Roberto to the stream, if that may be a thing. Say my DSLR is ancient. It's the Olympus E500. I don't know if it can and will cough up the energy to stream. You'd be surprised. Sometimes that old tech is better than the new stuff. Saying what type of tripod do you need to do a top down? Couple ways to go around this. I like to use tripods where it's not like the Amazon Basics tripod, where it's an all-in-one kind of unit. You can't take anything off and make make changes to it. So what I prefer is a bit more of a traditional tripod type setup where the ball head can be adjusted. This back here, I'm gonna point this way, this tripod has a top-down, like tabletop adapter to it. It's basically like a ball head, and it has that arm on there so I can move it back and forth without needing to buy a unique and specific tripod for it. I've looked, and that specific company no longer sells it, but I'm pretty sure there's probably other variations out there. So I just looked for a tripod top-down attachment. So that's the easiest way if you have more of a traditional tripod type deal. Otherwise, I wouldn't look into buying those all-in-one built type tripods only. If it's like your only tripod, you want customization options. So if you don't need it, and let's say you are traveling, you don't have to take all of that with you in your suitcase, for example, if you're packing that in. Because when I am traveling, I will throw that tripod in my suitcase with my clothes and stuff. I don't need a camera tripod bag if it's just me, but I do want a bigger, taller tripod. And I'll take that attachment and I can take that off so TSA don't think it's some kind of weirdo crazy stuff going, so they can easily just see it. So it's like, if I need it, I'm gonna throw it in the bag with the wheels. But otherwise, it's like I don't travel with all that. But that's what I use. If we need to go there, Sam, and you want to see it, I can show it to you in real time. But otherwise, let's see. Instagram, y'all may get cut off in here in a bit, because I don't know how long we can stream there before they start being uncivilized individuals and just upset with how long we stream. But I'll see what I can pull up on Amazon if they still have it, but it's a top-down type deal. Top-down. What did I call that? Yeah, top-down tripod attachment. I'm just looking on, see what's available now. So we'll see. Oh, here it is. Okay, so they re-added it. Cool. Okay, so I'll drop that down in the chat, and I'll show you in just a second. So let's go to me plus the screen share. So this is it. This is because it was for, I guess they were just out of it for a while, but this is what I use. And like I said, I have it since 2021. So I'll drop a link to this in the chat or what have you, but this is what I use personally, so that when I need to do a top-down shot, I just screw off one ball head attachment, or now it just stays on that one tripod since I don't have to, I got multiples. But I would screw that on when I need to, and then if I don't need it, I can take it off and just have my regular tripod ball head. But that way, it's just an attachment to a regular tripod that you already have, instead of needing to buy some specific tripod where it's built all in one, and then if something breaks, the whole tripod is useless because you can't detach certain parts. So be careful about sometimes those cheaper variations of stuff. But this, I'll drop a link to this, and like as you can see, I've had it since 2021. It's all metal. It works really good to just do what you need to do, and it can take quite a bit of weight as well. It's really cool. So that's what I use, and that's what I would recommend. You get some typos there, but that's what you need to do for top down. Otherwise, they have, you can buy the whole thing, I think, for the most part, which should be cool. But I'll drop a link to this real quick for you, Sam, in the chat, so you can have this in just a second. Tripod. I'm curious what kind of tripod attach, what kind of tripod in English, what kind of tripod do you have already? Attachment for top down shots. Link. And there you are. It is Christmas on YouTube. Alrighty, let's get back to some Q&A. And if my eyes doth not deceive me, it looks like we're getting pretty close to the bottom. So we don't have much further to go. All right, let me scroll up, let me scroll up, let me scroll up. Oh man, it's way more comments down here. I was like, I'm gonna get off easy today. Holy macklemore. All right. So N is asking, what's your advice for getting more real Instagram followers? I feel like hashtags don't really work anymore. Laughing out loud. Essentially, it's like Instagram updates either help, or it seems like it resets the engagement I would get. I'm not a big Instagram like growth expert or something like this, so I definitely would recommend seeking additional advice when it comes to this. But here's the thing that always wins: value that communicates with the core target audience, that is attractive to them, that makes them want to follow, and it's easy for them to hit that follow and subscribe button. Period. The more on brand you are with the things that they care about, the easier it is for people to follow, which is why no matter how long I've had my Instagram account, it felt like overnight, literally, it was able to jump up to like 15,000 subscribers over on TikTok. Because the content that goes out is so much easier for people to say yes to, because it's just like, for whatever reason, my brain clicked more when it came with TikTok than for Instagram, as they keep playing with the platform. And it is different. You will find, and here's the funny thing, I started on Facebook of all places. And then I was like, because that's what my coach at the time, I just running a coaching business, he wasn't a YouTuber. He posted on YouTube because it was like a free Dropbox, essentially. That's how I found his content, was YouTube. Because he was like, heck, he's like, came from YouTube? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, I just used to post those to my website. Like, he's not trying to go to YouTube channel. At the time, he wasn't. And so he was all Facebook. And so everybody was. So I started doing stuff on Facebook. Ain't nobody checking for this kind of stuff on Facebook like that, because it's not searchable. There's no way to search, no way to find stuff. And so I'm like, if I'm talking about things that people need to search for, I need to go to the place where people are going to search. So it's not just only putting out good content and let the audience find you. It doesn't work like that. It's not that simple in some respects. It's more or less finding a platform where your audience actually engages, how they prefer to be communicated to on that platform, meeting them where they at, and then making it uber easy and undeniable for people to hit that button and say yes, to where they like, man, I like the kind of stuff this person's putting out. Or you'll find sometimes you can do, like, if you got a really good piece, you'll drop a piece and it's just like that video gains a lot of subscribers, but your catalog of content also makes that easy for people to say yes, because they can just scroll through and be like, dang, I'm seeing a bunch of stuff I want to watch, I just don't have time to at the moment. Yeah, I want to follow this person because all of this looks good to me. I followed a health lady on Instagram this week about that. One video, and I'm like, ooh, this is good. What else do you have? Go to the other stuff, and I'm like, oh yeah. It's like I need to see all of this stuff added to the playlist of over there. Same on any platform, but you got to be producing the stuff in a way that's going to best communicate to them, because just good content don't work. I put the same video on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. YouTube and TikTok is where my people are, where they prefer to be communicated to like that, and do what's what. Maybe I would need to do more stories. Maybe I just need to do whatever. It's like, you'll see stuff now even on Instagram where it's like, you need to do these 12 things to do. I'm not playing with y'all. Like, y'all can go away. Like, I got other stuff to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm like, because I'm working off of a short window, managing stage 4 endometriosis and stuff like that. Some days and some weeks are hell for me. I'm not playing with y'all. You do whatever you want to do. I'm gonna post some content there, but otherwise, I know where my people go, where it's like we're matching, we're in sync. So experiment a little bit if you want to, but again, like I said, I am not the Instagram expert-ish kind of person when it comes to this. Yes, I understand video. Yes, I'm great with the video content marketing and hashtag all the things. And yes, I've had clients do way better than me with the same advice. However, it's all about the content and audience match. Simply just saying, put out value, make good content, and people will follow or say yes. Sometimes it's not always that easy, but don't get lost in the sauce when it comes to it. Find how like your tribe wants to be communicated to. Sometimes you got to find your voice. Sometimes people are too much copy and paste like somebody else, and they're not interested in that. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's, if you locked in, say I'm locked in, if you understand what I'm saying. So if you're a copy and paste of somebody else's content, you look like them, you sound like them, stuff is just really like somebody else. If two people are the same, one of you is irrelevant, and it's usually the copy. So sometimes you gotta keep producing enough content to find your voice. I had to do the same thing. And that was another great piece of advice that my business coach taught me. Was when you don't know what your stuff is, you don't know what your topic is, you don't know how you exactly want to serve your audience, start speaking your message. It will come out, which is produce content, publish more videos. I'm a big proponent of just literally upload and publish. I love Sean. Sean is an amazing person. He does incredible things, helped me tremendously. We work together. It's an amazing history we have. I love Sean. Sean is the brother from another mother. And he will say, just press record. I'm telling you, hit publish. A lot of people press record, not as many hit publish. Create, post, repeat. That's how you connect with your people. Create, post, repeat. And so sometimes you got to keep publishing until you find your voice. You find your vibe, your aesthetic, and then your vibe attracts your tribe. That's why you hear that phrase like that. So like I said, I'm not an Instagram person. Find somebody that is, that can give you way more strategic advice when it comes to that. And probably invest in coaching for somebody. Like if Instagram is a platform that you need or want to grow, whatever, go for the goal, like invest in it, and a coach, somebody to help you with it. But I'm not that person for Instagram. I'm telling you that right now. So that's my 2 cents on that topic. Sam saying 11 APS-C in 14 full in English, 14 millimeters full frame. Saying I have the 20 millimeter coming, was looking to either do one of those 16 to 35 rent lens rentals. Was it like dyna.link/lens rentals? Rent. Try it. Get all 3 of them and rent them for like 3 or 4 days. You don't have to do a month or whatever. You will know, and do 1 a day. And then you'd be like, oh yes, one of them lenses, or maybe none of them, but one of those lenses will generally be like, oh my gosh, yes, I haven't found the right lens that I want, that I've fallen in love with for when I'm traveling and vlogging and stuff like that. People are like, oh, you got to try this lens. Oh, you should try. I've tried lenses and they are not resonating with me. The only one I stick to right now is like the Samyang 12mm f2 because it meets criteria, but it's still not my go-to, like, oh man, this is the bee's knees for me. It's not that yet. I haven't found that yet. So I'm doing the same thing. It's like I'm trying a lens and I'm like, nah. And it's like, this one's close for this reason, but it's like, nah. So, but try them. You will know once you get something in your hand how much it resonates with you or not. It just will be, it's the weirdest thing, but try it. Going to the camera store is cool. It's not the same though. Rent it. I love lens rentals. That's who I recommend, is who I use. Ooh, made my coffee perfect today. Try it out and just see. Is 11mm better for me? Am I feeling the 14mm more? And don't walk around the house and then you walk in the backyard and then you go to your sister's house and then you go home. Do all that, but actually go do a vlog. Find something to do. Go do a vlog. And it could be, let's say, a 5-minute vlog. It doesn't have to be long, but you got a little clip here, clip there, whatever. All the stuff you actually would do. And for the next 3 days, do that. Those 3 different lenses. Because me giving you a recommendation for the technical reasons that it checks off a box won't matter if you don't get that thing in your hand and you're just like, ooh, yeah. Nobody could have told me this lens, because this 35mm f1.8 lens was recommended by nobody on YouTube. 0 people recommended this lens for the kind of stuff I was looking for when I first switched to Sony. I have my own criteria. I'm like, I'm gonna try it. Instant win. Day one it comes, I'm like, oh yes. And I've used this lens every day since. Because sometimes it just resonates. It's the weirdest thing, but just rent it. Try them for a couple days. Or if you think you may like one or the other, rent it for like a week and then see which one works best for you and it's like fits your vibe. I knew like an F4 for me. I hate F4s. Best of the best, Beast Knees Hall of Fame, low light camera. I have it. I have the sensor. It's fantastic. I don't like F4. And it's not about the blurry background. I don't care about none of that. It was the issue became when I go from traveling to when I go into like a hotel room and you have weird lighting and stuff and you're just trying to keep a leaning mean setup. F4 was always just annoying to have to crank up the ISO a little bit more, or like I'm trying to shape light a little bit better and all that stuff. It's like, I don't want to deal with this. F2.8 became my go-to, so that's why, like you find those little quirks by actually doing the thing. So consider that. Saying yes, it's just for vlogging. Saying I probably won't carry it. It'll be on a tripod and I'll carry my Pocket 3 outside. Now, allow me to interject for a moment and just coach you for a second if I may. A7C, we're considering lenses for vlogging. I would imagine that you picked up that Pocket 3 for vlogging. So why aren't you just using that and going about the day? Or is it certain scenarios that you prefer to use the Pocket 3 and then you like, in these other scenarios, I want to switch to my camera? So I'm just curious, but I would say you probably picked up that Pocket 3 for vlogging already, so why not just vlog with that? And then you don't need, you just use your camera for anything else that you want to, unless you just want to switch, like, I've tried it with this and this is great, and I now know I want to use a camera for vlogging. But I'm just saying, I probably already got that just for that reason. Go for the goat. Saying I probably won't be carrying it. Okay, it'll be on a tripod and I carry my Pocket 3 outside. Okay, well, that's all I'm saying. If you say it's for vlogging though, and we got a vlogging camera already, so, but just see what's what. See what's what. Tatiana teacher saying, I don't do purses either. I do use a backpack though when I teach. Same. I was thinking about this. Somebody gave me, I've gotten some really nice purses for gifts. And then I eventually re-gift them. One was a Dolce & Gabbana bag. Another one was a Coach bag. And then it's another one that has, it's like, what was it called? It was like a Dooney and Burke or something like that, or I think that was like the name. something weird. Like it started with like a D. I think it was like that, but everybody's like, oh, I think it's like a Dunian burger. I don't even, so removed from that world. And they was like, you don't want that? I'm like, give me a sling bag like I got back there. So I got my stuff in it. Every purse I had, that it's like at some point I would leave it someplace and they got to go back and get it. Just give me a backpack, give me a wallet, give me my sling. Let me move on with my life. I don't have that much to carry. Shoot. Saying a Sharpie with a filter on it for the vignette. Absolutely not. Absolutely not, David. We are not rocking that out here in these streets. Saying, no, you're good on audio over here. Nope, sound good. Yeah, figures much. It just depends. Sometimes it's an issue. Saying, do you have a link to the tripod? Dropped it in the chat. And oh, never mind the link. That's what I was looking at. An attachment. Got you. Saying, you don't have to get up. Thank you. Okay. Just trying to make sure. Saying, awesome. Thanks. You are most welcome, Sam. Alrighty. Said trying to see if the E500 will work, if I'll need a cam link. Well, that is an old enough camera that you need to look into an online manual and then pull up the manual on Google. You'll usually be able to find them someplace, or sometimes just the PDF link will already come up. Now you can use AI and stuff like that on Google. And just do like Control F find, and then see, just search HDMI. Don't search like live streaming or something, because they weren't using that language. It wasn't really a thing at that point. So search HDMI, because most of those kind of cameras were something that were used for either a smaller at-home nonprofit church production style thing, or for light news gathering, or what have you. So they would have some capabilities, but you need to figure out what those quirks were. So just search HDMI on whatever PDF document or something like that comes up for the manual, and then that will tell you what you need. Cam links weren't a thing back then, so sometimes you'll find natively, like I said, in some of those older cameras or camcorders at that point, it's already built in, because the intent was like for electronic news gathering, as it's called now, or ENG, or it had some kind of TV station hookup, so it would use something else. But if it's got an HDMI port on there already or what have you, you probably have what you need to go ahead and do it with whatever you want to. So do you ever use the DJI Osmo Pocket 3? Nope, I don't. I tried the Pocket 1 and I had that for a while. I learned about myself, personally, I don't like the smaller sensor camera things. Like I have a GoPro that I do use quite a bit, but I don't like the, and I'm saying I'm not a sensor aficionado. Like I don't really care, like full frame. I have a full frame camera, but that's like, y'all know if you've been around channel for a while, I loved APS-C, love APS-C, think it's fantastic, but I'm not a sensor snob. But I learned about myself, if I'm taking a camera with me, my brain and how I prefer to create and what really makes me happy with creating is just being able to see it on a larger screen, know how I want that image in my mind, and just being able to quickly make adjustments. The little chiclet, Tic Tac box size screen is way bigger than what we had on that's on the Pocket 3 than what we had on the Mark 1. But I still know that annoys me personally. Yes, it's larger. Yes, it looks great. Yes, it's like a little mini gimbal thing, and they're fantastic cameras. Let's not get it wrong. I just know it's not for me. Fine for if you do want to do vlogging and stuff like that, and that's great. I just know it's not for my personal, like if I'm buying it for me, I'm not going to, because I don't like that. I don't like the little screen. I don't like just not being able to plug in my headphones real quick and listen to something. My brain and all of the way I prefer to create is tuned to a mirrorless camera. And that's why I like and love the ZVE1 exactly as is. I know what lens that I want to put on there and all of that. I don't have to worry about the autofocus hunting or making sure I'm within the minimum focusing distance of the gimbal or whatever. Like I don't carry a bunch of micro SDs. Like it's just not my vibe. It's not my style of creating, but they're fantastic cameras. They're great. It's just not my cup of tea. So that's why. So what tripod gives that slider look? Example, say a person is walking out of a car, but the camera follows them, or someone walking in the gym. That's a gimbal. So that's what you're looking at. So you see that right there? I did the video on the Cinepeer 3E that just came out. That's that gimbal. That's what that's on. It's on an actual, similar to how that Osmo Pocket 3 we just finished talking about. Similar to how that operates. It's like a camera, and then you see the little chicken head type thing. It floats. It's like you're floating. Same kind of concept. That's just a bigger version that hold bigger cameras. And so those are what they use for that specifically. So it's going to be some kind of gimbal stabilizer. And how do you live stream vertical to YouTube using the Osmo Pocket 3? I have no idea. Honestly, I have no idea. Because I looked at when it first came out and all of that stuff, and it's like, despite my personal feelings, it's like that would be something I would still cover on the channel, but it's not something you're gonna actually find me out in the wild and using. Or if I'm traveling, I'm choosing to take that with me because I want. But I have no rightly idea. That is a Googleable question that will pull up a nice YouTube video from one of our fellow creators that probably can answer that for you with ease. I'm pretty sure in that updated version, there is, similar to how we have in the Sony cameras, a USB-C live streaming built in, if I recall correctly, from when it released. So that would probably be the first way to go about doing that. Then from there, you want to make sure you have a data cable, fast enough, data capable cable. How good your cable is when you're doing USB live streaming for any camera will impact if you have dropped frames, or like 1 second here and the next you're over here. It's like a dropped frame. So, but yeah, I just would check YouTube on that one. I can't answer that from you because that's not even a camera I use. Me and my friends talk about it or whatever they have it, but it's not something I've covered. So my apologies, I cannot answer that. Business growth, ready, good to see you. Glad you're here answering that question. And Pocket 3 is great camera for running gun filming, no friction. And then to his point, like I said, it's just not for me personally, but yeah, the Pocket 3, funny as can be, there are NBC videographers that use the Pocket cameras for the news segments and we're talking national and sometimes international news segments. They're using the Pocket 3. So if you do need something, like you say, going from somebody in a car and they're doing something else, Pocket 3 is fantastic for that. There are videographers that use the Pocket 3 in their regular video production the same way they would like an FX3, and they're able to color match with the D-Log in there, and it works great. So you can get a lot. Don't get my personal opinion and use case conflicted with the capabilities of the camera, because it is amazing. So there's footage that you guys, if you watch the news, or if you're watching news clips, or if you watch YouTubers that cover news aspects and they show clips of new footage, you've looked at Pocket 3 footage and you didn't know that you were looking at. You're looking at iPhone footage on an Osmo gimbal for a smartphone and was none the wiser. So really cool. Jesua Leah or Leela over on Instagram. Good to see you. Glad that you're here. Good to see you. Glad that you're here. Hank Russell over there as well. Good to see you. Glad you're here. Golden Natural over on Instagram. Good to see you. Glad that you're here. Saying just Jordan saying facts. I may as well watch the real person if I'm watching a knockoff. Where's my thing showing of another creator? All right, 2 or more views conflicted. It's just like saying I love the Canon RF 16mm f2.8 for vlogging. I guess you mean just like the lens, because I'm trying to think. I'm like, well, what camera would you using that with? But it kind of don't matter at that point. But 16. So I'm also think like when I think vlogging lenses now, like the criteria it seems to shift a little bit as new cameras and stuff come out, because the criteria for like a good vlogging lens depends on your use case. It depends on like what you want to get out of it. And then the other thing that it depends on that I'm finding for myself now is I love using dynamic active stabilization. There's a 1.43 times crop when you're using dynamic active stabilization. On Canon, I don't know what the crop factor is if you use some of their other digital crop modes. And as brands enhance that, with the exception, it feels like, other than Panasonic or Lumix, as their camera line is called, it's like they're the only ones that have, like, them and Olympus have amazing stabilization. It's like, I just want everybody else to ask them what they're doing. Just pay them so we can have the incredible, amazing stabilization that they have. But it's like, other than Lumix and OM Digital, used to be Olympus, it's like when you're getting into what you have to have for a crop factor on your digital stabilization, I'm now looking for like a wider lens, so I'm not losing my framing, essentially. I just hate to be like this and you're holding a camera way out there. It's annoying, you know, so it is what it is. And this is Ashley from Normandy. I'll have to look at the picture later to see who that is. Specifically, you know, it was a bunch of Ashleys in school, so I apologize. Doesn't ring a bell at the moment, but I'll have to look and see at the picture. Said my daughter is trying content on YouTube with her gameplay. No worries. Ask your question. Usually, it's the same, even for gaming channels and stuff like that. So it just depends. But honestly, most of the time, if you're just getting started, you're doing like gaming stuff, they're going to use like a green screen cutout anyway, and the game is more prevalent. You have a couple frames. It's them on camera, similar to like this. And then the second thing is you will have where it's like a picture-in-picture. So they're small and they have like a green screen background, so they can see the person that's viewing. You can see them on screen and then see the game. And that's easy to do even if you're using a smartphone. And so at that point, you want to use the rear-facing camera of a smartphone. It's always going to give you the best quality other than the front-facing camera. There's a lot of confidence in looking at the front-facing camera on your phone, but swap and use the rear-facing camera because it's going to be connected into the computer anyway. You're going to be looking at the computer to see it, and so that'd be a better way. Hope that helps you out, Ashley, or at least helps your daughter out for that over on Instagram. Sierra saying, or Sam is saying to Sierra, saying, I like the 11mm because it's around that length, but I may not even like how I look with the lens that wide. Again, try it. Try it before you buy it. See how you like it. Saying, it's just me or is the audio bad? Again, you guys gotta, we had this conversation earlier. Y'all gotta check your volumes. I've already checked the volume. So, but let me know. We can always make adjustments, but I know I'm not peaking over in Ecamm. And then I know as far as the Vocaster software, where the microphone is hitting, and we are not peaking there either. So sometimes you got to check what you are using, but let me know. We are always open to making adjustments as needed or not. Saying, I don't think I'm gonna like the F4 either, honestly, due to the lighting. It's usually, for me, the reason why I don't like F4s when traveling, it's a catch-22 for me. I like an F2.8 because when I go into these weird conference rooms, and I'm saying weird like because of the weird lighting, I'm going into these weirdly lit conference rooms. I'm going into the hotel room where the lighting, I could be getting a shadow cast. I have a window, but I'm getting a shadow cast from the other building that's on the other side. So I'm not getting the sun I could have gotten without a color cast on it from the clouds and whatnot. So it's got like a bluish hue to it. Little weird quirks. And again, it's just my little tech nerdy brain going off. But if I'm at an F4, it's like I don't want to crank the ISO higher than I need to. And like I said, I have the Bee's Knees Hall of Fame camera with an amazing sensor in it. So it's not terrible. It's not bad at all. But the other thing to consider is this, though. Sometimes I want the blurry background because I want to distract from the bathroom door that's behind me. Like some weird angles you cannot get away from. And I'm not trying to build a studio in a hotel room. And so it's just like, godly. And so F4 just doesn't best serve me. Now, when I went to New York, for example, and I'm vlogging that, I'm good. I like having an f2.8 because I don't have to stay at f2.8. I can go up to an f4, f5.6 if I want to. So there is no blurry background and you see everything around me, because that is the intent of what I want to show. I want to show how big this building is. I want to show everything around me and all of that. So what I'm looking for, I do want to try and compare like Sony's 16 to 25 millimeter f2.8 lens that just came out, but I still don't think that would work for me at a 16 millimeters because I'm not staying at standard stabilization. I'm going to use dynamic active as a 1.43 times crop. So now that 16 millimeters is going to cut in, and I'm just like, 20 millimeters, I don't care what nobody says, 20 millimeters is not an ideal focal length for vlogging. If you're going to set it down and you can back up a little bit, great. But just holding the camera just like this far away, that's as far as I want to hold my camera, because that's what's actually comfortable. If you see any real vloggers that vlog more than just for a segment of a tech video, you see them actually making stuff like that. We're not holding our arms way out into the stratosphere. I'm not doing that because now you look ridiculous, and you also are tired of holding your arm all the way out like this, like you asking for somebody for a piece of bread or something. Saying lenses 18 to 50 millimeter APS-C, and then 28 to 70 full frame for what you're doing, David. I mean, like, again, I'm also not carrying a ton of lenses also. So that it's just my personal dilemma. I'm either the lens hasn't been made yet, or I'm going to have to make compromises still until that lens is made that I want, that kind of fits all of those little quirks. Because also, you're not looking for a super heavy lens. Go back in history of YouTube and watch when like Casey Neistat and Holy Macklemore, freaking Peter McCormick or Peter McKinnon was vlogging with these huge setups. And I mean heavy. These are buff dudes too. A 1DX Mark II, out of this world. Absolutely no. Vlogging with a Canon 1DX Mark II, absolutely not. My little arm, my wrist is gonna break. I need to lift some weights, okay? Shoot. It's like, you need to be flexed. Like Alexandra, you need to be flexed like how he is, okay? And it's like, I'm not about that out here in these real and digital streets. Sam, following Sierra says, Sam, I use, oh, hold on, I just lost the comment there. Saying, Sam, I used 11 millimeter on APS-C, but now with the full frame, I'm like 16 millimeters. Yeah, it can work. And again, you need to figure out what quirks you like. And it's going to be different for everybody, which is why I'm glad we do have an abundance of different lens types. If you are 16 millimeters, for example, like Sierra's talking about, then you can be in standard, you can be in active state, and you'd be great because you're not getting that much of a crop on it. But otherwise, ooh, almost dropped my water. But otherwise, you might. When I'm on the go, I almost never take my camera out of dynamic active. That's where it's like, it's a little bit of a quirk for me. But 16 millimeter would work. It would work. Said I picked up the Pocket 3 for social media content. I've just been vlogging with it because it's the only camera I have right now, but I like the look of the full frame for photos and for YouTube videos. It's like vlogging, like inside, LOL. Yeah, you gotta go beyond the house. Your phone, I'm not a smartphone person either. Again, I just have my weird quirks of what I personally like, but I'm not a smartphone person. But your phone, plenty good. You gotta, that's another camera that you have. The rear facing camera is always going to be way better. So definitely something worth checking out and considering. Like I said, I'm not a smartphone person. Hate it with a vengeance. It's just my personal quirk, but they are fantastic cameras. You will just always get the best option on the rear facing camera instead of the front facing camera. Ashley over on Instagram saying, you remember me when you see me. I hope. Shoot. I'm not gonna lie. I've seen some people in real life, it's from high school now. You bump into them, you're like, hey, hello, Merry Christmas. And it's like, you don't remember we was in such and such. I'm like, charge it to my head and not my heart. But it's like, no, it's like, let me see the high school photo so I know it's just, and you know what? That started a year after graduating from high school. I knew the face. I know exactly who it is. The name is just not present. So I hope, I hope so, but let me know. Hey, while comment saying drop by to catch the stream. Good to see you, Kathy. Good to see you. Glad that you are here. Just Tornado saying I prefer Rode, Shure, Canon, Sony over Dolce, Prada, Gucci, and Fendi. I heard that. I'm the same way. It's like oh, I don't know why this is bugging me, but I'm like, I already know it's gonna come up. I'm gonna need to go to another gala. Nice event. It's gonna be some get dressed, from to the heels. And I hate it. You do put on heels. You do get all dolled up and all this extra stuff, and I hate it all day long. And the only time I'm thinking, I'm like, how soon before I can go and change my clothes? Shoot. So I 100% concur that I prefer Rode, Shure, Canon, and Sony over Dolce, Prada, and Gucci. Shoot. I think the only thing I put on for even like prom in high school was chapstick and lotion. Shoot. He said, I use my Canon R8 and the Pocket 3 for vlogging. Yeah, that's a dope setup. That is a dope setup. Just Tornado saying, thank you. I'll search after this for the manual, which I think might still be in the camera. See, that's why I love the older cameras. We had manuals. This is a rant that I just feel in my spirit. It's like, I was going through the Sony box from a short that I did about the windscreen that I need to replace. I don't know if I put that one out yet or not, but I'm going through the box and I get, let's be more eco-friendly and hashtag all the things, but I am old school. I'm like, give me the freaking manual so I can read through and thumb through it and know it. I remember going to the auto parts store and stuff growing up. The car, make and model had a manual at the front counter that you could pick up and read stuff. Even now, like, it's so funny. My best friend was asking about something and I asked her, this was like, I promise we went in for like an hour. And I said, she asked, how do you do X, Y, and Z? I'm like, did you check the manual? She said, manual? I don't read manual. She said, I get the thing, I buy the thing, I use it. And then if I can't figure it out, I go to YouTube. And I'm like, yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. But when you can't find the answer on Google or YouTube, you should go to the manual. I said, or in the midst of waiting until you get the right search result, where's the manual? She said, nobody reads the manual but you, Diane. I said, you know what? You're right. So even, matter of fact, just ship my camera boxes with the manual, okay? She's like, well, what about for a washer and dryer? I said, I'm looking for the manual. I want to see, that's how I know how things work. It's the manual. I went and asked everybody that day because we were going back and forth. I'm like, do you read the manual when you get something? Yes or no? My family members, some of them was like, yeah, of course I read it. I'm like, see, our parents raised us right. Dude, I'm like, where's the manual? Daggone it. Actually, stand over Instagram said, I missed the beginning of the live. Oh, we've been streaming we are 2 minutes away from hitting 2 hours. So we've been streaming for quite a while. So now you have to download it for over on Instagram. Well, yeah, the manual, I'm not liking that. I like the searchability. Have both, or like let me check a box off when I'm ordering it from a website to say, do you want a printed manual? It'll cost an additional $2 or something like that. That's fine, but let me choose if I want to keep or get a manual or not, or if I'm like, no, I can just look up I search the manual a lot for these cameras and stuff. And when a camera comes out, that's the only thing I want to see. I want to show me the manual. Where is the manual? I have a big problem with not getting a manual. Shoot. Saying if the setup is light enough, I would consider taking it out though. For the A7, it is, don't do a cage. For the A7C, Mark 1 or 2, don't matter. And then like 11 millimeter, say you go that route, 11 millimeter in English, 11 millimeter f1.8. It is light enough. I liked using the Manfrotto Pixie for that, and then you could just put whatever your quick release plate is that you like to use. Don't do the spinning thing. That's just a slow process. I like the Falcom F38. I changed everything over to the Falcom F38, which I probably need to do a video on at some point. At least a YouTube short. Changed everything to the Falcom F38 system. I freaking love that system. Because you just slide it in, slide it forward, boom, you're done. Slide it off, you're done. Slide it on my strap on my book bag, it's done. Like, it's so fantastic. And I like that so much more than anybody else's stuff. So the Falcom F38 system is fantastic. But if you're going the A7C route, just don't add on a bunch of extra stuff. If you can swing it, depending on what your budget and stuff is looking like, use the Sony ECM microphones. I have not covered this on the channel yet, but these microphones and even like the DJI wireless adapter thing for Sony cameras, bees knees freaking Hall of Fame. The world does not know how great it is as far as the creators were. Oh my gosh, y'all. And I'm gushing over it, but it like, I didn't even think, okay, let me speak English now. I've been using the same shotgun microphone for vlogging since 2017, the Movo VXR10. I just swapped out some bits to make it better for me and pick up less noise. So I changed the Rycote shoe that it goes into, changed the cable to the Rode ones because it's just better. And so I made these little changes to it, changed the windscreen. So I just want the mic. I'll use everything else like from Rode or whatever. And so I got that microphone, been using it since 2017. Now, oh my gosh, just the ability to, when you want to, because you also think we got upgraded microphones on these newer cameras for the front facing thing for vlogging. And those are super helpful and handy in a pinch. And I've done whole vlogs with it and nobody was none the wiser on the audio when it comes to that. But just like not having to have a cable, not even having to think about plugging it in, you just put it on the hot shoe, it's on and it's done. Oh my gosh, that is so, it just is so liberating. And it's the dumbest thing to think, well, ain't no big deal for the cable because I said the same stuff. And then I tried it like with the DJI stuff. I'm like, I don't think I can go back to a wired setup. Plus you never have to worry about noise and audio interference because it's direct microphone into the hot shoe connection and for stuff. I'm waiting for DJI, which is what I think what their next move is going to be, is just my personal prediction with the audio. DJI #1 is going to take over for creator accessories and like core elements in the creator process. Mark my words, DJI is going to be a problem for everybody else. The other thing that I think that they're going to release at some point here soon in the future, it's not just their wireless kits. If there's no patent pending, if there's no infringement from the technology aspect, because they got away with this first bit, I think DJI is going to start making those ECM hot shoe style microphones, and they're going to make their own vlogging microphone because the technology's there. They figured it out already. Somehow they got away with it. Because I guess maybe Sony did make it a proprietary system that you can't touch, like how Canon does with a lot of stuff. Bees knees freaking Hall of Fame move. I'm waiting for DJI to just crush it. I didn't want to fool with them initially when it came to audio because I'm like, are y'all just like making your own Rode Wireless Go 2 kind of a thing? Or like, you know, are you just sticking to gimbals and more or less drones and stuff? But they're vetted, in my opinion, at this point for a lot of, they're doing such a fantastic job. I'm such a fan of the work that they're doing because they're doing a really good job to solve creator problems. So, and that ECM mic type of updates that you're seeing, it is so good. If y'all haven't tried it, just try it and see what you think. You may not be gushing over it like me, but I think it's so fantastic. Exclusives, B Jury, good to see you. Glad that you're here. And your question is, I do work with my live streams with the Osmo Pocket in a dark setting. Could you please recommend a lighting that will stabilize the lighting on my face when I work with the Pocket camera? So thanks, you're very welcome. So the thing with this, I need to do an updated video on my lighting. Y'all are gonna see me someplace on YouTube, on a channel in the very near future. Wink, wink. Just keep an eye out for it. But I need to do an updated video on my lighting though. The biggest thing with lighting is going to be diffusion. Diffusion is where you have most LED panels are just frosted, kind of has that chalky, whiteout kind of a look, but it's not diffused. A diffused image goes from taking you having harsh spots, or what I call the hot spots. Hot spots on your face for lighting are these areas, tip of your nose. You'll see it down here on your chin, and you'll see it up here on your forehead for anybody. Those are those hot spots. It's just this cluster of your face right there. When you have lighting that's too harsh on your face, what happens is you start to see those hot spots turn from your skin tone to just big watches of light, just these white blotches. At that point, you know that you are what's called overexposed and your image is too bright. So depending on what lights that you have, I recommend LED light panels. I like the Viltrox VL200 kit. I think if you type in diana.link/lights, it should pull up my actual light, which I will do right here. And then I'll put it in the chat for you. Diana.link / what I say, lights. That should pull it up because I do get that question quite a bit. Indeed, it does. So I'm gonna drop that in the chat, and then I will show you over here. So what this is my exact lighting setup, and I have been using it for a very long time. These LED light panels are amazing, but as you remember what I said, it's frosted. And so you'll see it looks white or whatever. It's frosted. It is not diffused. Don't put this LED panel straight slap on the face. Big no-no. Instead, what you want to do is I like to use the diffuse softbox. What this will do is allow for me, I use the trapezoid one, the circular one, just like this. And so what this will do is soften that light. It is the reason why your pictures look way better when it's like a cloudy day or you're in the shade and you take a picture, even if it's on a sunny day, than when you're just directly out, is noon, standing harsh in the harsh sunlight, and then you take a photo there. It looks better when it's filtered through and softened. And so that's what you do. So I use these, which is the diffuse softbox kit. They've dramatically increased the price for these because it did not used to cost that much. You can use the square ones or the circular ones. I just like the circular ones because it covers a much wider space. And I know Newer sells their own variation of these too, but their prices is still kind of high for this. But this is I bought it years ago. I've never had to replace it kind of a purchase. This is just one of those purchases where you're initially thinking like, I'll just find something cheaper or whatever. So with some things creatively, little pro tip here, just don't buy cheap. Just buy the right thing the first time. Don't look for something else cheaper, because what you'll find most times, the fabric rips, the cables break, the frame, snaps. Cheap. When you buy too cheaply, you also buy the problems that come with being cheap. And so this is just one of those things. If you buy your lights right the first time, you will not have to buy them again. So buy it right or buy it twice. So this is just one of those things. I'll drop a link to this as well. But this is what I use and been using for years now. And I haven't had a need to swap. So that's what I recommend for lighting. And this works great if you're in a smaller space. If you are in a smaller space, then you can consider using, I just dropped that link in the chat for you there. You can consider using the smaller square ones. It just won't spread the light as much or whatever. But this one light, here, I'll do this with you. I'll show you what I'm talking about. I'm gonna do this on my phone so I don't have to audibly say anything. So you can see what I'm talking about when it comes for lighting, and then I'll move on so I don't belabor the point. So I have my light set up, and we're gonna cut everything off. So there's nothing on now except the ceiling light and the light that's in front of me. One light. The ceiling light even don't really count that much because it's It's not that bright like that, but it's just kind of matched to the white balance of the regular lights. But this is literally with one light. If I turn the light off, now you can see solely what the ceiling light is doing. And because I'm mostly facing the corner of the office, so I'm literally speaking into a corner, into the way the desk is set up, this is, now you can see what the ceiling light doing. It's doing nothing for my face. I'm getting more light from my phone over here than I am from the ceiling light because it literally is behind me. So that light does nothing for me. But if I turn on my front facing light, then you can literally see what one of those LED light panels and what one of those diffuse softbox lights do. If you wanted to add in just more of the coloration and have more of that, you can make this even darker and moodier, turning off the ceiling light and whatnot. But if I go that route, then from there, I don't have to worry about anything else. I'm good to go. So if you just wanted like a little bit moodier light, I like to be a little bit brighter. Now, I did used to do it, but now I turn on the other side light. It is also diffused, so it doesn't look like flashlights. A flashlight is a really harsh light. Imagine if you shine that through a shower sheet or something like that, a sheer curtain or something. It would spread that light and make it softer. And that's kind of what we're doing when we're using like LED light panels and stuff. So that's what I would recommend with that. And so now you can see, like I said, even just the side light with everything else, if I turn it off and then I turn it on, just how much more it fills in for the image for what I'm doing. But if I turn that front light off, now you can just see like the background is brighter, but there's still not any light on my face. So make it up to the left or right, whatever you want to put it on. Angle it about a 45 degrees. You just, want it up into like your ceiling. We don't need to be lighting the top of your head. It's not the point. So I'm here, camera's here. You want to raise it up just a little bit off to the side, angle it about a 45 degrees, and there you go. And so you'll have a nice key light if we do that. And so if I turn on the front light, that's what you see and why I have a bright background, but I also am well lit without me being overexposed. And I can do what I call the palm test, or what is called the palm test, where I can hold my hand in the same plane or space where my face is. On either side, I'm not overexposed and you can see the details of my hand. So I know that I'm not overexposed, and that's just an easy way to see if you're bright without getting super technical. So hopefully that helps a little bit there. All right, where did I leave off in the chat? Man, I thought I was gonna finish at like an hour today. I'm like, oh, they ain't even asking that many questions today. We're gonna be all right. Y'all played me. All right, let's see here. I'm catching up. Alrighty, so I'm saying I just have not figured out how to get better footage out of the Pocket 3. It looks lighter. I've tried to follow YouTubers to make it better and got ND filters. Okay. Can't explain this fully based on how I'm imagining I would do this otherwise. But here's the thing. You cannot replicate settings from the videos that you see on YouTube without fully understanding why those settings were changed to produce that look. If you simply copy settings, paste settings from what you see on YouTube to what you're seeing, the difference is you are not in the same environment. You could put a light to the side, behind you, and one in front of you, but if you're not in the same room, you might get different results. You could change the Kelvin temperature to match everything of what I'm doing by the same camera and the same lens. Would not see the same image if my window is behind me over here. It's tinted, the blinds closed, and there's a sheer curtain. Very little light is coming through. If in your room, the light is in front of you and you have a window in front of you and you're like, dag, I'm still overexposed. What's happening? You are in a different environment, which is why the replicated settings that you're doing aren't working for you as well. It's not until you understand the concept of why we changed that setting to impact our image and the way we look to get that set up. Talked about 2 live streams ago. I showed you all of my camera settings on screen, and people were like, man, you're at 119.9 for the shutter speed and f2.8, and the ISO is at 2000. I've never heard settings like that. I'm over exaggerating. It's like I've never heard settings like that before, because I'm doing something different in my space. I don't need to be at an f2.8 with a 1/50th for the shutter speed, so I'm doing 24 frames per second, and then be at something that's more like 200 on the ISO. Why? Couple things. Again, what's my thought process back of choosing those settings, which I talked about in that video too, is the Friday Live Helpcast, like 2 Fridays ago or something like that. Number one, the thing is, I'm using one of the dual native ISOs on my camera so that at any point, the image is clean, no matter what the lighting setup and stuff like that, or it's cleaner than some of the other ISO settings. Number two, I'm using the fact that I have a light that can produce banding, which is that orange one back there, because it's not a video light. It's just an IKEA light that when I wanted to see if I even would like a color background, I'm like, I'm not buying a whole big RGB set. I'm going to get a light bulb that's like 20 bucks at IKEA and see if I like it. So it's a lamp behind that shelf, and I'm like, oh, I do like it. Do I need to replace it? No. Occasionally, you will see banding or those black lines, rolling bands that you'll see in videos, or it could be a flickering light. Like those fairy lights, they don't flicker, but there are some Christmas lights people will choose to use instead of like fairy lights or something, and those would flicker. If you're having that, which I just want to make sure if it produces itself, we get rid of it. So I'm using a setting in my camera called the anti-flicker settings. All I have to do is point it at that light. It figures out where do we need to match so we can stop seeing that. The shutter speed wind up being 119.9 exactly, so that we don't introduce banding. Fantastic. Works for most indoor setups where you have video lights mixed with regular house lights. And I'm not saying like a home, but like in a conference room or whatever. Pointed at the flickering light, it stops it. Pointed at the Christmas light, it stops it. So using that feature is why my shutter speed is much higher than it ever would need to be. But I'm not sitting here waving so you can see the motion blur or not. So now what do I need to do? I'm at an ISO 2000, weird number, but because my shutter speed is higher using the anti-flicker settings, it made sense to go ahead and go to the next closest native ISO to clean the image. Not by much, because I'm in a controlled lighting space. I don't have to, I just chose to. Then the other option is I have a lens that's at an f1.8. Should I do still an f1.8? Absolutely not, because the image then at that point would be far too bright. Too bright for me. I could get away with it, but it just is unnecessary. So what is my option then? This is now the exposure triangle I'm describing this entire time. Now the option that is within my framing to choose, my shutter speed is higher. Higher that number becomes, the darker the image is. The lower that number is, the brighter the image becomes, but it also introduces more motion blur, where you see people that look like they're having a headache and a migraine, and they're just like going through, and maybe they're on drugs, and like you see those kind of like, and it's like a shadow trail kind of following them. So lower shutter speed is all that is. Shutter speed impacts motion blur. So the higher that number is, the darker the image becomes, dealing with the exposure, but that setting itself deals with motion blur. So I can make that higher. I'm fine with it being darker, because what I can do is go to my next native ISO just to clean the image up. My aperture can go as low as an f1.8. I'm not trying to impress nobody by just being at the lowest it can do, so I don't really care. So to get my exposure to where I like it, I'm gonna put it at an f2.8. I can even put it at an f3.2 and it will still be fine. So now my settings replicate the same image that I would have as if I had turned off the anti-flicker settings. We now go back to a 1/50th of a shutter speed. I go back to an f1.8, and then maybe I'm at like 120 or something like that for the ISO, or even upwards of 200 at the most. You see now why copying and pasting settings and stuff like that may not make sense. It's like on top of, not like I said, not to mention the environment is different. So when you're looking at something like the Osmo Pocket, now we can look at, it's a smaller center. It does better with light. So if I'm indoors, I don't need an ND filter. ND filters make sense when you go outside, and the intent with this is, let's say I take my stuff out there and it's f1.8. I want a blurry background, but it's a sunny day. Even with cloud coverage, it's still a sunny day. It's too bright. I can't also have a blurry background and me look normal without introducing an ND filter that will bring down the brightness, so I don't have to have really crazy motion blur. There's no flickering lights outside, like in a park or something, for example. It's just you and the sun. So it's like, oh, I don't need a high shutter speed, or nor do I want one. I want it to have normal motion blur. If I'm at an f/150th of a second for the shutter speed, now my image is too bright, and I want to do an f1.8. I can only knock down my ISO at the lowest ever on the camera to like 80, and that's it. Most cameras it's like 100. Depending on certain settings, it may be 200 or 300 or 400, depending on the setting. So now what do? You add on an ND filter to now darken the image so you can maintain a blurry background as well as having good exposure. That's why you will see certain settings depending on the environment. If it's already an overcast day and it's very cloud, like a lot of cloud coverage, kind of a darkish kind of a day, if that makes sense, versus it being like a super sunny, bright day, you may not need to replicate those settings. The exposure triangle, you can learn those 3 things about, which I went exhaustive here, but if you can learn the exposure triangle, the aperture, the shutter speed, and the ISO, if you can learn these 3 things, it unlocks what your camera is able to do, and it's not being or becoming a filmmaker or a super technical person, and it's not about trying to be anybody other than you. It just makes your life that much easier knowing, what do I change? And how do I get the look that I want? This is why I said sometimes those smaller cameras don't work for me, because the intent with its creation is more so around, let us figure it out for you, and then you can change some settings, or you can go into an option like manual exposure and change everything if you want. I need, first of all, I wear glasses. Now not only do I need to get my eyes checked again, but it's like, I need a bigger screen than that. Mercy. Okay, I need a bigger screen. I need a magnifying glass with that for me. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, I'm struggling. But if you can learn those 3 things though, what to use, when, or why. And this is a video I've been sitting on for me. Maybe it's time to make that video, which is like how to make videos outside. It's simple as it sounds. How to make videos outside. Of course, I also probably need to update the exposure triangle video on how that works, because when you're looking at your camera and stuff, and most people, they do try to like copy paste settings, and I get it, I was in the same boat, but it makes so much more sense to just learn those 3 things: the aperture, the shutter speed, and the ISO. And what I talked about, like I said, 2 live streams ago, when I was going through like some of these things being like the most frustrating things for most people, is you don't know what to change or why you would change it. So most people have been stuck making content indoors at a desk because once you got it looking right, you're afraid to touch your camera and change anything else, which is why I initially had wanted to do the video of like how to make videos outside or whatever. But when I came up with the idea, I think it was like winter, and I'm like, I'm not going out there. It's like 2 degrees. Literally, it's like, look, so what's the temperature? It is 2 degrees outside. And I'm like, hell no. I'm like, no, thank you. We'll hold on to that idea until a wonderful spring and lovely day. And so we got some spring weather down, so it'd probably be a good idea to squeeze that video in. Shoot. As you're saying, I can't see the whole question over on Instagram. Yeah, that's because, so if I put Sam's question back up, I would need to, let me duplicate that. And I would need to bring it down, probably put it here. So that way you could probably see it, I think, allegedly. I'm gonna wait till I see what that framing looks like, and then I can see how much smaller I might need to make it or if that may be too small, but I think let me slide over a smidge more if I can get the questions, and then I'll just probably try to duplicate that for you so you can see it a little bit better on Instagram if we need to do that every couple seconds or so. But that's how that works. So when you look at settings and stuff, it's not that hard. It's not, nobody's trying to hide something from you, but you really do learn by doing. That's why I said don't go vlogging tests around the house and then go to your sister's house and be like, she'd be like, what you doing? Practicing vlogging. And then we never see that video. No, it needs to be usable footage, like something you're going to use or whatever, which is why I love to vlog when I'm traveling or I got a trip or something, because I don't know these people. I never bump into them in town. I'll still vlog around town or whatever. It just, I don't get excited about doing stuff around town like that. Every blue moon I may do one at home or whatever in the office, but I like going out and when I go have fun and like what's fun for me. And it's like, oh yeah, I want to capture this experience. And so I'll do it then, but go find a park, look on Google, see from the hours that it's open. Usually most parks don't close till sundown. Just go see what day is a nice sunny day or whatever, just a decent day. It's not hell hot heat outside. And then see if, what the least busy time is at the park. And then go at that point. Like, yeah, Wednesdays at, 9 a.m. nobody's there usually. Go there. And then most people in your town, unless you're going to the closest gas station by your home that knows all of your personal business probably, it's like nobody knows you, cares, or whatever. When I'm vlogging around town or I'm doing so, nobody cares. They don't care. If anything, you become cool to kids. So I need to learn color correcting and grading. It's a process. Some people do pick it up really quickly and do a fantastic job, but it's a process. Because I'm not the best like colorist person or whatever either. But it's like I'm always testing, experimenting, and I'll make changes to stuff. Let me make this comment a little bit smaller. See if we can duplicate that again for folks over on Instagram. But it's like I'm not the best at that stuff either. But at the same time, I'm always going to experiment, practice to get better. And my best so far is like miles better than when I first got started and it looked like trash in a bag. And I'll probably look back in a year or two's time from now to the kind of stuff that I experiment and test with, and I'm like, what was I thinking? So there you go. Saying the audio is a bit low. I put you on my TV, my phone, and my earbuds, and I saw a check. I did check the volume. It was I thought it was just me. Well, you know what, guys? I apologize. I can only do what I can do. Let's go here. It's like we turn this audio up a smidgen more. Past the point, it's gonna peak. And that's the only thing that is like I don't like. It will start to peak, so I'll turn it up a smidgen more. But appreciate that, Marine X, but let me know. Cut it up a bit more. So if we need to make adjustments, let me know. The difference is, because the audio used to be perfect. The difference is when I am on certain shows or doing interviews or podcasts or something like that, and you need to make those micro adjustments, I find certain platforms, and the sneaky thing is certain platforms will do updates, or especially if the person just did an update, say Zoom, for example. YouTube, not so much, but you say like Zoom, for example, some of these other platforms, and they'll make an update, and a weird quirk or glitch or whatever that comes up sometimes is you may have like, it's like, why is my frame dropping all of a sudden? Or why am I now introducing? We think it's us, but sometimes it's a little bitty thing. So it's like, I find I'm having to go from interview to interview or, what have you. And I can't like figure out, I'm like, why is it all of a sudden an issue? Because it didn't used to be. You have these firmware updates that you now need to adjust for, because the audio settings haven't changed. So like I said, I'll make adjustments as we need to for the live shows and just figure out what that number is to make things that much better for y'all when it comes to the audio on the live stream. But just let me know. Like I said, I cut it up a smidge more, so let me know how you all are. Let me pull it up on YouTube. Let me see real quick, and then we'll go from there. Not that I'm not going to make adjustments still, but it's always good to check. And I appreciate y'all letting me know. I mean that sincerely. Let us go to the channel. And then I'm going to mute this for a second just so I can hear. Y'all phone's too low. No, it's like, man, this audio is popping off my phone. It's like, even if I turned it all the way, I'm like, that audio is popping off my phone. So I don't know. Like, I'll tweak it though. But I'm like, that audio crispy, loud. I don't do nothing special on my phone either, but just let me know. It could be. I don't know. It could be a YouTube thing. Thou knoweth not. But I did check on my phone just now. But let me know. If we need to adjust a little bit more, I'll adjust more. The one thing I don't want, though, is for if I laugh or something and then it gets distorted or whatever. I hate that. So just let me know and we'll figure out what that number needs to be for the live streams and make adjustments as we move forward. So I appreciate y'all. Let me know. Saying yay a fiber. Oh no, we're not doing no fiber. First of all, I don't know where these. I said it was 2 minutes away from 2 hours. That was 32 minutes ago. We're not doing a 5-hour energy live stream, everyone. So that's not happening. Saying found it. Installation CD added. This encyclopedia thick manual. They were in the camera. That's amazing. How crazy is that? I found the manual. Just side note. It's like I found the manual for an old MP3 player that I had. And I was just like, man, see, this is what we need. This is what we need out here in these real and digital streets. Saying I need something to listen to get through these next 2 hours. God bless you as an educator, because mercy, I would be handing out, I kid you not. This is why teaching is not for everybody. Okay. I started when I was going to school in college. I said, oh, I'm going to be a music teacher. Like, cause that was my thing. And I was like, I'm gonna be a music teacher. Went back up to my high school, probably like 2 years after I graduated. Them kids, I'm like, whoa, we were not like this. And I'm not being facetious, like we were not like this. I promise you, I'll be giving out candy every day. It'll be Benadryl. We have a Benadryl bowl. My class would be so quiet. And I'm like, Miss Gladney, why is your class? Listen, my kids they just having a tough day. They need a little bit of rest. We taking nap time. Okay, everybody got a cot somewhere in the room, like kindergarten. Go to sleep, shake it off. We're gonna wake up, have a snack, a little something to eat, a little pizza party. Then we'll do some assignments. Cause I'm like, they are on one. But I'm like, I couldn't do school. I said I went promptly went back to my counselor's office. I said, yeah. So I'm like, how about music business? Like I'll do entertainment law. I'm like, that's like, I'm good with like all of that. Creative Synergy saying they are built different now. Another, God bless you for the education work that you do. I discovered that day, I am not called to be a teacher at a school. Hell no. Hell no. One of my good friends does teaching at a school. I said, may the Lord bless you and keep you always, because I promise you it could not be me. She got good kids though, and I think kids just like resonate with, and I never had a problem because, side note of a side note, and then I promise I'll get back to the questions. I used to teach teen church at my church. I'm looking at them like, do you know who you asking? I'm gonna have NyQuil lollipops for my kids. I'm like, if you want me to teach teen, I promise you we're gonna have NyQuil lollipops for everybody, because I'm not dealing with some of the stuff that I see. But the biggest issue was all of my kids love me. I never had a problem because I just keep it real with them. And I think a lot of times and even it's the same way with my nieces and nephews. I have a ton of nieces and nephews, from them being grown, having their own kids now, to littles. So I think kids just can tell if you are a BSer or not, or if you really mean what you say something or not. You know what I'm saying? Like they can tell if you just like a fake person essentially. And so I'd be straight up with them. You know, sometimes it's like having hard conversations or topics that aren't easy. But the issue most of the time I would find is like they don't want to be one, trash talked, number two, treated like they're stupid, and then number three, like, be real, essentially. So I never had a problem. Surprisingly, I was very reluctant to do teen churching and stuff like that, because I'm like, y'all, no, absolutely not. Like y'all just call the police now because I'm going to jail. Like, it's happening. I'm not like, I'm gonna fight them. We fighting. I don't even fight, but I'm gonna fight. I'm gonna figure it out today. I'm like, it's not happening. I'm like, it's either jail or NyQuil lollipops. It's gonna be something. I'm gonna be on the first 48 with Detective Mason and be like, did you get them kids NyQuil? Yes, Detective Mason. I did. We did 2 coatings of the Z-Quil on the lollipop. Shoot. But it wound up being a really cool experience. And like I said, I didn't have any problems with my kid, but I high school though, would not repeat. I tell you that much, would not repeat. Saying middle schoolers, in English, middle schoolers want to middle school today. Yeah, it's a different kind of energy for middle school. Oh, y'all talking in the chat. That's cool. Cool. What is up, Mr. Camera Junk? Good to see you. Glad that you are here. Let's see what we got going on in the build IA. Saying the DJ Mic 2 is amazing. Yep. Saying, what was the Manfrotto tripod that you recommend? It was the just the Manfrotto Pixie. If you're gonna go that's one of my keep it super small and lightweight tripods, like for vlogging tripod. Depending on how heavy of a vlogging setup you get with your A7C and the lens setups and stuff like that, it is just verify the weight of that ball head because it's built into it. But it's cool if small is the goal. What I eventually wind up switching to was the Mantis Pod Pro, because a lot of people will say like, oh, I want the all metal version. No, wintertime traveling with metal, even with gloves, like go someplace, oh my gosh, cold. Like cold like you've never felt before cold, which more recently would have been like an Iowa type thing. Like, what the hell is even happening outside in the wintertime, kind of cold. Metal is not what you want, even with gloves. And so I'm like, no, it needs to be plastic. And so for me, I went to the Mantis Pod Pro. It's like the Pro 2.0, whatever it is. It's a plastic shell. And if you look at the Mark 1 versus that one, it is a downgrade versus the quality, but that was not my goal. My goal is it was still slender, so it could fit alongside the water bottle in my sling or in my book bag and not take up any space. It's not gonna fall at the airport, kind of a thing. And then the other thing is that it's plastic and it's lightweight. So that was as close that I could find that when I set it on the table, it still comes up a fair amount so that you're not looking up my nostrils like it was for the Pixie with me. And I didn't have to stack it or set it on the book bag or nothing. It was tall enough. It was plastic and it was lightweight. And that mount on there is like a reverse ball head. You can use the Falcom F38 quick release plates, and those work great. I just put it directly on there. And so that's what I use now and have used for the last year. And it's a fantastic, or I think it's been close to a year or right at a year right now. So I'm saying a year, but it may be like 8 to 10 months or something. I think it technically, but close to a year, closer to a year, it feels like. I switched to the Mantis Pod Pro or the 2.0, whatever it's called, the plastic one or whatever, the reverse ball head. I like that so much better. But I still have my Pixie, but that one's like really good if you just want to go super light, super small, and can probably fit in a purse kind of a thing without it being like weirdly shaped and stuff like that. Exclusive Bleed Jury saying, thank you. I work in a small space, so I appreciate you covering the topic. I would check out the links. You are most welcome. Glad to be of service. Saying if you like button, saying if your like button is transparent, please click it and make it solid. Thanks. Help the algorithm. That's what I'm talking about, brother. Yes. Hit the like button if you've been getting value, if you enjoy the stream, watching and going through the Friday Live Helpcast. We are not doing a 5-hour energy, so I'm getting ready to wrap it up. Oh, we got another super chat. Shout out to Veteran Biker. Thank you so much again for giving from your heart to my home. I greatly appreciate it. saying, how do I play a video clip on Ecamm when making a React video? Super easy, my guy. Let me get to your question real quick, and then I'll wrap up some of this other stuff. All right, so what we're gonna do, I am going to, Kimbucha, you over there on Instagram, I see you. So my setup is not as clean today since I'm trying to keep the Instagram window over here. So let me show you though, regardless. If I want to do a reactions video, what I would do, you can do a couple different ways. So what I did was, which this is showing, let's go to, I think I need the internet up. Amazon, just pull that up. And so now what I'm seeing, or what you're seeing, is the Instagram window. This is all on one small monitor today, so it's all messy. But in Ecamm, I have myself, move this over. In Ecamm, I have myself, and then I have that screen. So I could do a reaction this way, or I could do this little chip style, is at least what I call it, where it is more screen share pronounced, and then I'm just a little pop-up there, and I could move myself someplace else. All that is a screen share, which is this. Let me get the internet window out the way, so you're gonna see my desktop instead. So all it is this just screen share over here, just that. Those are the settings for my branding or whatever, and I'm gonna show the entire screen more or less. Okay, so that's what I'm showing. But otherwise, I want that, and you need to make sure you have this box checked where it says activate system audio capture, which means if I play a video, play the video. If we're so we used to do channel reviews on the Friday Live Helpcast. If I'm doing a channel review and we're listening and critiquing the audio for the video of someone's channel, or we're checking out a recent post, we need to see the video and hear it. So make sure that the audio button is checked, and then too, with your sound effects or system sound, make sure that's not muted as well. Literally, that's it. So for me, it's either going to be, and so let me get out of this so you're not seeing the behind the scenes version. So what I would show is just me on camera, or I would have where I'm showing you whatever's on screen. So I could go to a screen share version where it's just me on the side, and I'm a bit more pronounced. And then this is off to the side. And so I could do a reactions this way. So if we were watching something on YouTube, or I'll show you in just a second, if it is a video, then you can add that in Ecamm as well. We just would take this down from being a screen share to now being a playable video. And we're just gonna add it as an actual video. It just depends on how you want to do it. More specifically, it is not that difficult like you think. Ecamm is so easy. It can be as easy as you need it or want it to be, or as complex as you need it or want it to be. Sorry to the folks on Instagram, you just can't see it in a vertical format. Some of the stuff that I'm doing, you have to be on YouTube to see the full screen bits there. What else? Said I was going to show you from if you added a video. Let's see, what video do I have? I think I have a lot of vertical videos recently, and I'm not trying to pull up some, because I've been doing a lot of long form stuff. What do I have? Ooh, I know what I think I could show you. We might do a vertical video reaction. Okay, give me a second to cue this up, but I'm going to show, it's like I wanted to show how I was using the Viltrox 20mm f2.8 lens for some skits that I filmed at a coffee shop, and they were great and funny. So I'm trying to think, which one do I want to show? I said 90s promo, and then oh, this one is so funny. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm just trying to think like which one to pick. Okay, I'm gonna pick one of these. Hopefully Rebel 77. Sorry, Uncle Ray, if you all see this later. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get rid of this. All I'm doing is dragging and dropping. I think I could show you. in Ecamm just what I'm doing. So this is the, again, forgive the one screen mess here, but I want to pick the video that I have saved. In my overlays, I'm just going to drag this to show in the current scene. I'm doing preview mode because I don't want the main feed to show it. But if I did, add an animated overlay. Let me show you exactly the how. And then we'll publish. All right. So same kind of scene scenario, right? We're gonna go back to live mode. You'll see everything that I'm doing in real time here. I have my video in a folder, and I have myself on the side. Let's say it's a vertical video reaction to something. Somebody posted something crazy, whatever, you wanna react to it. I don't know which one I wanna show because I don't even know if they posted these yet, but I'm going with the indoor outdoor fish skit. So I'm just gonna drag this over here, show in the current scene. Can you see this? Yeah, you should be able to see this. And then play full screen with video.
What's the fishbowl doing there?
Grizzly's home.
Now you see how I have my overlays and stuff in the way because it's layered. And what I mean by layered is whatever's on top is what's seen first. That's why you see me clear. The background image of what I just added is in the way. So the only thing that I would need to do is rearrange how I have this set up. So the background is here. Let's say I turn that off. Oh, I know. I added these separately. So now you see me and then you see all the stuff. So where's my video? Where is it playing? Where can I add it to? Okay, well, what I could do instead is I can make some adjustments, but you can get super creative with Ecamm. But let's say if this is all that I wanted to do, then I could do it this way. If there was no audio and you're just reacting to or giving commentary to what you already played. Let's say you played the video full screen, you're not there. They already heard the audio and then you're reacting to certain points. Attorneys do a good job at this because they need to pause and show certain stuff. Then you would choose that other option of not play the full video with the audio. Then at that point, you would do it a different way. So this is a vertical video, which is why you see the black bars. So this is a skit. And so what's nice is I can scroll through. I hope they don't get upset that I'm playing this. Let me pause the music. What did I do with you? I need to get a second monitor, a bigger monitor. I just haven't chosen what I wanted. I need to get something there. All right, so this is like the skit. So again, we're doing a reaction. I'm gonna show you the skit and stuff that I made.
What's the fishbowl doing there?
Grizzly's home.
Bruce Lee, the fish. Who? What?
That fish.
But where is? What do you mean? Where?
He's an indoor outdoor fish.
I don't, Elliot. I don't think that's how that.
You've never heard of an indoor outdoor fish?
Yeah, so I came in a couple weeks ago and found Elliot's fish dead, and he's kind of a sensitive soul. I didn't think he could take it.
Not how that.
No, it is. Yeah, he's just kind of like sneaking around hiding.
He's hiding.
Yeah, he's that's
Elliot,
like a part. No, it is. Yeah, no. He hasn't been here for like 2 weeks.
So I disposed of the body, and I told him about the whole indoor-outdoor fish thing, just so it wouldn't break him. And I've actually been cleaning the food out of the bowl, so he still thinks he's around.
Miss you, Bruce.
The last time Elliot lost a pet, his praying mantis, it was pretty rough.
Elliot.
It's okay, man.
It's okay.
It's alright. There are more
It's
praying.
the way of life.
There are more praying mantises, manti out there.
We'll go find you one.
okay,
I'll
man.
steal you a fresh one from the park, okay?
It's alright. It's alright.
Yeah, we need to avoid that.
Latte on the bar?
Excuse me 1 second. Bruce? Sorry, just making sure my pet fish isn't in there. You're good to go. Thanks for coming to Rebel.
Yeah, we need to avoid that.
Okay, so that's the skit, right? And so, let me go out of this so you just seeing me in the skit or whatever. So, as I'm going through, I'm filming this skit or whatever, and we are doing a lot of different stuff. And so I'm had just got the Viltrox 20mm f2.8, and so this is one of the ways that I tested it. So I haven't done this video yet because I like to test stuff to find out all the quirks before I talk or even choose if that's something I want to recommend. It is because I continue to use it and it's like doing great. But this is an example with certain little bits in here. If I wanted to scroll back to the part where I'm showing this is where it's great to now we don't have it with the audio. Maybe we would choose to do it as an overlay at this point, and then we go back to like that branding bit. So let me turn off. So let me now pull it back in Ecamm so I can show you what I'm doing. So now let's say I don't want to show the video aspect of it. I just want the background to be blank. I don't want to show a video. And so I do want to turn on my background elements that I had. But now I'm going to take that Rebel video that I had, same one, I'm gonna drag it, drop it over here. But instead of now choosing to play it with the audio like I did, like play it full screen, I'm just going to choose add it as an animated overlay. And so now the video can play. Let me get this out the way. The video can play, but instead I'm just going to do a reaction to certain parts. And then I can scroll through and do like, I'm like, oh, so look at this shot when X, Y, and Z. So that's when that kind of like the difference between the two would make a, excuse me, that's where the difference between the two would like, which option would I choose? It depends on what I'm doing. Obviously, if you're doing a vertical video format, I would probably do that slightly different, but those are the two out of the box options, like right away. That's like super easy to do. And as you saw, I could do it on the fly. And so those are how I would probably go about that. If you're trying to do that, so let me know if you need additional details when covering that or whatnot. Sorry to the folks, like I said, over on Instagram, you probably won't get to see everything unless you're going on YouTube. So there is that. Let's see. Marine XN, sound is good now. Okay, cool. Glad to be able to make that small adjustment and it's not like terrible. All right, still live. We're not going, no, we're not doing 5 hours. We're not doing 5. We are not doing 5 hours. Get the taste out your mouth. It's not happening. Okay, it's not happening. So veteran biker, hopefully that helps with what you're doing. Said, I wish I had the language to explain it, but the footage looks lighter. Brought the exposure down and it kind of helped. I think the correct word may be overexposed. So I can show you what an overexposed image would look like. So this is like brighter. If it's brighter and now we're overexposed, you do the palm test. Like I said, where now my hand in relation to my face is too bright. Can't see details. Hot spots are firing off, right? Not so much on the chin, but definitely right here, right? In the tip of the nose, you're just seeing blotches of white. That's overexposed. If I brought it down and it looks more dingy or whatever, hand test, yeah, you can see the details, but it looks like a black cover is over the screen and it's doing too much. And so properly exposed to what you want, maybe a smidgen brighter is where I was at before. Hand test confirms you can still see the details without having too much hot spots, even with lotion on my hands. So if it looks what I like to call ashy a little bit, so my saturation is at a -4. That's like color. Saturation deal with color. So now we all the way down. Now it's black and white. All the way up, we've turned into a Cheeto personality. Straight down the middle, we are normal. But if you look, this is brighter, but it's also ashy. This, now you're looking at a contrast issue. You're not, like it looks flatter. You're not seeing it to be as crispy, as sharp, as color rich. The colors, everything else is the same, but it looks ashy, right? There's no contrast really there. If I bring this up a little more, you see some color. You're seeing like the image isn't blurry, but it still has like that haze kind of look. Again, this is still a contrasting issue. If I bring this up to straight down the middle, now what you're seeing is normal. Now I could make it more contrast. Now you see how the hyperpigmentation in my skin, you can see those points are really starting to fire off with some of the acne and stuff like that. And so my hair looked different. Look from how it was before, kind of ashy, kind of bright. Now we on the other side of that spectrum. Now my hair is almost matching my shirt. It's not that dark. You can see the black frame, photos, all that stuff, take it all the way down. And now it looks grungy. We've overdone it with the image. Too much contrast. So if you're having, like I said, that kind of an ashy look to where it's kind of like this, it's adjusting the contrast at that point. This is where it's normal. If it's too bright, you'll easily be able to see where it's just far too bright. So if it's not where it's bright, but it looks, like I said, it looks a little ashy, you just may need to adjust the contrast so that you make your colors look more normal than as if it was overdone or underdone. So hopefully that kind of gives you a bit more of the language, because I would hear people say, oh, the saturation is this and the contrast is that. But those terms in my mind didn't have a definition. So it didn't mean anything to me because I didn't know what to do with that language. So like I said, if it looks ashy, like how I described, and like hopefully that gives you some language. If it looks kind of ashy, it may be a contrast issue being too low to where you can increase that a little bit. You don't need to make major slides, like going like way up there. You know, just try it in little chiclet formats, a little bit, and see, do you need to increase the saturation by 1 or 2 notches, maybe, just so the color is a bit more pronounced. Then see what happens from there. So if that helps, that should give you a bit more clarity when it comes to that. Let's see here. Saying it's even when I'm outside. Yeah, it's not, more than likely it's probably not a lighting thing. It's probably a contrast issue potentially with what you're looking at. Because sometimes, even in my camera, you'll see where our settings are, the saturation, they will turn that down. Look at your skin tone type and the hue of your skin. I had to adjust my saturation recently because I'm looking more orange in videos. And I'm like, we haven't changed anything. I'm like, and so I'm talking with my video editor. I'm like, what is going on? Come to find out, I'm tanned. Not much, but enough to where if I took my watch off, you see that it just white. You know what I'm saying? Like it looks like how this part of my arm is now, you know? So I'm like, oh, I'm like, right. Cause I've been going outside, going for walks, spending more time outside. And I'm like, okay, yeah. I'm like, yeah, it's been roasting out there. Shoot. I'm like, okay, I got a little tan now, enough to where it's present. When I take my watch off, I can see the watch outline. And I'm like, okay, I can turn the saturation down because there's more of a color pronunciation, or the color is more pronounced. I'm saying pronunciation. The color is more pronounced in my skin tone. So my color is a little bit more saturated. There's more to it. Got a little bit more of a tan. I usually don't ever get a tan. So I'm like, oh, I can turn the saturation down -2, just go down 2 notches. And now I look still normal of how I've always looked without looking too orange. So it almost like the tan gave me a +2 in the saturation. So in the camera, until I normalize, and when winter comes, we'll be back pale or probably still be browns because it'll make a difference one way or the other. But it's like, oh, so now just go down 2 notches. And now I'm like, oh, okay, that looks normal on camera to me or whatever. Cause I'm just like, I'm like, why am I looking kind of orange? I'm like adjusting the white balance a little bit, which I do change from summer to winter, just based on the way the light is cast or whatever. But usually you don't have to go through all that stuff. But usually most of the time though, like I said, it's something to what I described, you just need to adjust a little bit just adjust a little bit with the probably contrast, or it could be the saturation. Creative Synergy laughing at, I'm like, I took my watch off and I'm like, oh, I have tanned myself for the first time ever. Shout out to Mr. Camera Junkie in the building. Good to see you. Glad you're here, Stan. Remember to hit the like button, everyone. 100%. 100p. So you should make that outside video for sure. I can tell when someone's shooting with the Pocket 3 on auto because of how the footage looks, unless it's some type of color grade on it. Yeah, so a lot of people are using the D-Log settings so that you do have, like I shared before, you'll have that flat color picture profile. So imagine it's kind of like this, and then the saturation is down, brightness comes down a bit, and then, yeah. So you'll see an image that kind of looks more like this. And so when you do the color grade on it, you now need to add those elements back. And the reason why a lot of creators like this, if they're more into that kind of stuff, is they can decide how much of what they want. Because I found for my skin tones, I do not like for it to be, I'm just putting stuff back normal. I do not like for it to be where I'm using the standard picture profile and like the hyperpigmentation and those acne spots on my face are too pronounced. It doesn't get the brine is not what I'm looking for. It does not get the bronze type of reddish hue that is naturally in my skin. It doesn't show it right. It looks weird. And I know because this is camera companies and even smartphone companies, when they're doing cameras, talk about how they're constantly making improvements. Just look back at anybody's announcement for any phone or any camera, and they're like, we've made enhancements to the color grading. And specifically when they get to those modules, you'll see that they're making adjustments for people of color. And the reason why is because it's like most cameras were not built or trained on variations in the difference in the tone of hue in the skin. And it's just like if you're very dark skinned, you don't want to look just completely blacked out on screen. There's gradations to skin tones. Like I said, if I get more tan versus if I'm not, or if it's the wintertime, you look a little bit more pale or whatever. You sometimes want it to be color accurate. Sometimes you want it to be more of a stylistic choice. I prefer just to be pretty color accurate. I'm not trying to do too much. So now you'll see where they're saying like we've made additions to, like we're paying more attention. It's the easiest way to put it. If you have brown skin, it's like we're trying to make y'all look better. And like we're trying to figure it out because we know we've messed that up in the past and we've made it not look right because we didn't test it for bronze skin tones. It's like, so now we're testing for it and we're finding like, ooh, that don't look like, oh, okay, that's not pleasing. So it's not, nor is it color accurate to maybe even real life. It's like, oh, our bad, sorry, we'll adjust. And so it's a thing. So that's the only thing. It's like, if you want to get out of auto, you're going more into manual, you're playing with the D-Log and stuff, you just now need to know, especially if you buy LUTs and stuff like that, what changes would you need to impact other than just saturation and the contrast to get what you want. The first thing that I would recommend if you're getting into color grading, just try to look normal. Look at what the standard picture profile kind of does with some minor tweaks here or there, and just see, what do I need to do if I was going into log footage? What would I need to do just to look normal? Not a stylized look, but just normal. How do I get back to just the baseline standard? That will teach you so much about what tweaks are being made to just get to that point. So then when you go to another level of like a stylized look, then you're like, oh, they shifted the white balance hue to be warmer, or they shifted the white balance hue to be cooler based on how it looks on their skin. Oh, they shifted the contrast so this is like the blacks really pop in their hair. So I have some people where it's like I filmed them and they have like really jet black hair, Well, we want to showcase that because that's one of the things that they love. One of the features they love about themselves is their shiny jet black hair. And so they don't want that to look saturated and kind of have that ashy look. They want it to pop. So on those images, we would do a bit more contrast so the blacks really pop a bit more. In addition to, on Sony cameras, if you get into it, you can adjust the black level. I don't want my blacks that sharp, and like, so I bring mines up a little bit more. So like, this is a black shirt. I don't want it looking, I like the way it looks now. It's just more true to life. But you can make it look more darker. You just look more, it looks like solid black or more jet black kind of a thing. So that's how it is. You're not doing no 5-hour energy. Get the taste out your mouth. You're not doing no 5-hour energy. Saying, are those Sony ZV-10 picture profiles actually any good? Started experimenting with this morning. Looks good on my monitor, but I don't know. Yeah. The thing is, how are you using it? White balance impacts way more people's colors perception than they think. You have everything else being the same. Your white balance off, it throws the whole image off. But the colors, and I'm finding again, they just are doing a better refinement for if you just want it to look natural or if you kind of want to play with it. And the cool thing with, like, they did a film, like, so like the ZV-10 Mark II, for example, they did a film, I won't say emulation, but they got a filter or picture profile on there for that as part of the creative standard. So it's like, here's all the filters and standard styles. Let's make it look a bit more filmic. You can go into these settings, even on the ZV-10 Mark I, even on the ZV-1 Mark I. You can go into these settings, hit that arrow over to the right, with that right facing directional button on the screen. And what it will do is open up some options to adjust the same stuff I just talked about. Like, is the contrast too much? Is the saturation too much? Do you want to adjust the sharpness or the clarity? And then how you want to deal with maybe some other aspects or whatever. And so you can customize those even more so. So what do you think of Sony, the ECM B1M mic, omnidirectional shotgun microphone? Is it better than, say, a Rode wireless or even that Shure mics? Or is it even worth it? Well, I gushed earlier on, and to save everybody that was already here then, for me doing it again. Audio quality is subjective. So let's put that out there. The reason why people are falling in love with it is the ease of use for attaching it and not having to worry about any wires whatsoever, which in turn saves the 3.5 millimeter TRS port on your camera. Because what a lot of creators would find is, as you're traveling and as you're using this more and more, similar to the micro HDMI out port, you get little bits of play here or there in the channel. If you are unfortunate, like some of my creator friends, and you drop your bag that just so happened to be positioned on that mic port side and it goes all the way in, that is now a new fine repair bill you have to do. So being able to save that port a little bit less work for the auspices of vlogging, it's just nicer to not have to worry about cables. It is a quieter noise floor than if you did connect it with an analog cable, the 3.5 millimeter cable. And you can control the polar pattern. So meaning I can decide, for example, this is a cardioid dynamic style microphone. The cardioid polar pattern for this kind of microphone is about the circumference of around my head. Like if I put a beach ball or something like that around my head, the audio is only picking up here from about this space. If I even pull the microphone back a little bit more and I'm now talking to the side of it, you're not hearing it so well, if really anything at all. And so now that polar pattern is off if I'm speaking to the side of it or whatever, which is nice But when you are using that microphone and you only want to pay attention to the front, you also have stuff like super cardioid polar pattern, where you can get a little bit on the backside. So if you're doing an interview, majority of the audio is going to the main talent, and then you have a little bit that's just picking up you, just maybe for reference or scratch audio, without having to get like the D4 duo microphone, where it's literally 2 microphones forwards and backwards. So it's a lot of micro decisions that you no longer have to think about or make, or considerations and additional gear to take, simply because it's a lot of micro inefficiencies made efficient in one microphone. And if you look at quality, I don't care what anybody says, even some really big audiophile type person, what's interesting is audio is subjective. You determine what sounds good to you. For example, with my voice, I would, if I was in choir, for example, would be more so in some respects in the morning. I could be a tenor. And my regular voice, though, otherwise, is more so in the alto range. It's like that mid range. But my voice is more or less kind of like on a lower spectrum. And my voice isn't higher in a higher octave. So because of that, I prefer the quality of my audio to accent and enhance and add some sweetening to the fact that my voice is in a lower, more comforting, more relaxing audio quality style. So when I'm going through now and I'm reading my audio book, this is where that audio is sitting. Unless I'm being more animated and I'm saying, so when you go in and you're doing the specific thing, but even then, the lower registers are still getting accented more than the higher registers. So it's not a Rode versus the Shure versus the Sony ECM mic type thing. Because even still, like you'll hear audio tests where they are testing it right out of the box. But what you also see is you add some bit of sweetening based on what you like and what sounds great for you. I've never gotten anything other than compliments. No matter what microphone I was using, I've always gotten compliments on how I sound, because I'm not trying to sound different or fit in a box or anything like that. I'm simply doing what sounds good to my voice. And people will always compliment and be like, man, your voice is so relaxing. Like, I love to listen to that, just because I add a little bit of bass and I add a little bit more treble, just to kind of give a little bit more of that radio boomy kind of sound. But it may be some audio nerd out there in the world who's just like, no, you should really bring that thing up and do this and that and whatever. And I'm like, no, because I'm not making my audio for me or to be pleasing to you. I'm making it for it to be pleasing to me. You know what I'm saying? So that's the difference. Just look at what your voice type is and make sure you just make micro adjustments. Usually in editing, it's just a copy and paste for the audio preset to do this even after the fact. But this is all in real time. I showed y'all before, I think it's maybe like 2 or so live streams ago, what it is for my audio settings or whatever, which is not much. I only make those micro tweaks with my Bowcaster too. And I did make some changes on the back of my Shure mic, which I talked about. Oh man, that video's old now. When I was using the Rodecaster Pro Mark 1, there's a presence boost on the back, these switches on the back of the Shure SM7B microphones, because I read the manual. tie that back in earlier in the stream. I'm like, just do this. Start a recording. Don't matter if you got your camera on or not, whatever. Start a recording. Say, this is the microphone straight out of the box with me talking, where I usually would if I'm a little bit tired. Maybe my voice is a little bit deeper and I sounded like the Allstate man. And and then it's like, so that's maybe where your audio may be if you're doing a morning interview. I try never to do a morning interview because I kid you not, my voice can get deeper than some men I'm around. So it's like, good morning, Diana. How you doing? Good morning. How are you? So just play with the audio, making minor tweaks. I've adjusted this setting. It's now set to this. Listen with earphones, so you can just listen to it like with wired headphones and just listen and see what you like and what your preference is. But it really don't matter what microphone that you use though. All right. So you have to go back and watch the replay before you adjust. I did scroll back a little bit, maybe not far enough, but as long as it's good now, all I'm going to do is leave the settings alone. I'll make note of it so that I can see, like I remember now of what my micro tweaks were for the audio, but I'm not going to change it. So I will know when I'm doing the live streams. Other interviews, you know, you always have to adjust as is, but for my show on my channel, once we figured it out, if it's done and it's great now and everybody's like, no, it's good now. It's like, cool, universally good now. It's like, yeah, we'll just save these settings and it'll be fine. We won't have to change it anymore unless we get messed up with the setups and the updates. Katia Francis Johnson, good to see you, Miss Johnson. Tell your husband I said hello. Do remember reading him. Said, learn and do. Diana Gladney said, I am working on it. It's one of the things I live by. When you go learn something, go and execute on it immediately. Saying the audio sounds fine to me. I'm on my phone. Maybe it's like also like, I don't really keep up with phones anymore, but I remember it used to be one of the big updates. It's like, we included 2 new speakerphones. When you put your phone on speakerphone, you can annoy even more people when you're sitting in the store. And so it just depends. Saying you're too loud now. I don't know. We can only, I listened to it audio. Like I said, either way, and I only did a minor tweak. At this point, y'all let the Lord use you. And that volume button. It's like I'm trying to help with the adjustment, but it's like where it is, it's like we'll keep it there. But it's more or less, it's like even still, it's like I'm not making too many adjustments. It's just like little bits here or there. It may come across a bit more or not, but let me know. Saying Mr. Camera Junkie saying the audio video is fine. Saying doing the Lord's work. Saying the students are not the same. You really have to have an anointing to do this job. It is my ministry. I love my students. May the Lord bless you and keep you always, because I would be handing out NyQuil lollipops. Technically it'd be ZQuil. It'd be NyQuil lollipops. I'm not pre-dipped. Everybody get a piece of candy when you come in the door. Oh, we get candy in this class? Yeah, you get candy in this class. You kidding me? Next up, it's like we're gonna be handing out ZQuil dip Jolly Ranchers. Seems like you give these to your friends. School gonna be quiet today. Listen, did you capture any of the eclipse? Okay. No. Furthermore, I was using the restroom when the eclipse. I missed the whole thing. I was at home. I had time, space, and opportunity. Good viewing position that I could have watched it in. And all the things. I get up and I'm working like a normal day because I'm like, yeah, I'll go look or whatever. And then I got other stuff to do. Like I'm not like, it's great and all of that, but you know, I had to use the restroom so bad. My stomach was not participating with watching the eclipse that day and said, you will have your own eclipse right here at home. You don't need to go nowhere. And I said, all right. And so I saw great things of the eclipse online. I saw 0 of it in person. The eclipse was done when I was done. So it was not meant for me to see it when it happened, but I got the better bargain of the deal because my stomach was resolved. So I didn't capture any of the eclipse at all. Not at all. Saying, do you like 24 or 30 frames per second? I like 24 frames per second. It just is better for me. For me, like I like it more because 30 is great, especially if you are going to stream on Zoom or use Zoom. It can see 24 just fine. But a lot of the tools, software, programs, and all of that really standardize around 30 frames per second. And so 30 is fine. It just tends to have too much. I'm trying to give the proper description for this, but it looks sometimes a little too sharp. And I'm like, everybody don't need to see every little detail for some stuff. You know, you got a zit's more pronounced on the video than I am. It's like, you can just back up. And so 30 frames per second, 60 frames per second tends to have that more hyper realistic look. I'm not going for that. So I stick with 24 from what you're looking at right now to anything else. Saying hello, yes, officer. Her name's Diana. Y'all better, hey, I'm not gonna run. If the police come, it's like, man, we found out that you were giving Z-Quil to the children, covered in lollipop. Yes, here is my stash, and I'm working on the second batch. Would you like some to take to your children? And they be like, yeah, let me get 12. Don't worry about this. We lost the report. Shoot. Saying this info today was so helpful. I even found my Rode NTG video mic. Forgot about the $250 they said I needed it purchased. Telling y'all gonna learn. It's like, I talk about gear. I like to try a lot of gear. I buy very little. I switch out very little. As you see when I share some of those links, if I'm sharing the screen on YouTube, like on Amazon, it's like previously purchased in 2017. Don't need to replace it. Don't need to replace it at all. Got a comment over on Instagram saying, wow, I have never heard of anyone explain a cardioid so well. Thank you. You are most welcome. Glad to be of service. So yeah, it's like, the other thing too, what works for somebody else and why they like it is not why it works for me and why I would like it. And it's some stuff I know from me, the kind of person that I am, the kind of stuff that I like. There's some stuff, just like it's some foods, you don't need to try to know that you're not going to like it. For example, I love watching Discovery, nature type channels, like National Geographic type stuff growing up. And then you go and you would see this footage like, growing up in the 80s and 90s, and you see they're eating crickets, they're eating snake. I don't need to try that stuff in order for me to know that's not going to be like, no, I'm not going to discover something that I just love today. And it's like, well, would you like to try new cultures? Not like that. Not like that. Shoot. So for me, it's like it's some stuff, same way, you know, some foods you're not going to like, or some people don't like cooked fruit. So I make a killer bomb peach cobbler from scratch, everything from scratch, the crust from scratch, everything. I make a bomb peach cobbler. Some people don't like cooked fruits. The texture bothers them. So it don't matter how good flavor-wise it tastes. They don't like cooked fruit. The texture is just like, it sends their mouth off, like they don't like it. You'll find the same kind of little quirks like that you may with certain kinds of foods with doing video stuff. I know not in any space that I've recorded in personally, will I ever use a condenser style microphone. And they'll be like, oh, it's a cardioid condenser style microphone. Does not matter. It can be audibly excellent. Audibly, it can be excellent. However, in my environment, there's no sound treatment. In my environment, way loud. Y'all know it used to be back in the day, if you've been a long-term subscriber, we used to have the freaking US military jets flying over every time I needed to do a live stream. You don't have that problem anymore, thanks to Crisp AI, but it's a loud environment, even with a cardioid dynamic microphone. So for me, and especially for creators that are in a loud environment where you're not trying to look like you are recording in a padded room, because I'm not doing the foam things all over the wall either. That just is weird to me and I don't like it. I don't want to feel like I'm in a padded room. It's just a weird quirk, but it works. But I'm like, yeah, no, because that don't work for me. So you'll find, where y'all watch YouTube videos, if you can get out of that shiny object syndrome, if you can pull back on some of that gas, that gear acquisition syndrome, you'll uncover the same kind of quirks and stuff you have around certain kinds of foods and things like that. You have that too in your own way in the creator space. And it don't have to be a negative. It just is a difference. Then stuff will come out. Be like, you want to get such and such? Nope. Don't need to. It's not for me. I know it's not going to be for me. I know I'm not going to like it. So Pocket 3, great camera, amazing camera. We may even get one and cover it on the channel for the sake of covering on the channel for where it fits for the audience, because there is an audience match there, but not because I personally like it and use it. So I'm not even gonna lie in the video and be like, I use this all the time for vlogging. I don't ever use it for vlogging, but it is great if you want to use it for vlogging. You know what I'm saying? So it makes a difference. Saying that's good to know. Because I'm moving to Minnesota and I got this Ulanzi aluminum tripod and I'm coming from Mississippi. Allow me to enlighten you, Sam. The North is cold. And I don't mean that lightly. I moved from Alabama to Ohio once upon a time, forgetting I don't really need a coat like that. A winter coat like I have in the North. I'm like, we don't need that down south. And I'm like, and it was like now. This time of year now, it's August. And I'm like, oh, it's about to be snow outside. I'm like, oh, I need a coat. I need long johns. I need like merino wool socks. Like it's real winter up here. I'm like, oh, shoot now. I'm like, all right, let's go shopping. And I had to get a whole arsenal of stuff that I did not need in the South. So you moving from the SIP and you going to Minnesota, get you some stuff that's made for that Minnesota weather. It's just different if you're coming from the South and you're not used to it. The cold is different. It's just different. Saying, speaking of Cheetos, Doc was joking, man, Doc and Cheetos in the same conversation. I already know where this is going. Saying Doc was joking about you and Cheetos yesterday when I mentioned not showing my snack stash in the camera. Tell y'all something about Doc Rock. It was what the old people say, like, he a liar and the truth ain't in him. I love my brother. Every time he bring this story up, it's not the truth. He don't tell it right. Because he's saying, I ate his jalapeno Cheetos when we was in Albany and we both spoke at People of Video. Okay, I have the vlog footage. Maybe not of me eating the Cheetos part, but you gotta take my word for it. Daggone it. We were hungry. Freaking Mr. Camera Junkie, he was there. It's me, him, and Doc. We in the room. And we sitting in there. Doc working on his talk. My slides are done. He's fixing his stuff because I think he talked the day after me. He working on his stuff. We in the room, Prince Aiden in the room. So Louis' son, we all there hanging out. It's getting late, keeping my brother's company. We're hanging out. And all of a sudden, hunger hits me. And I'm like, man, I don't want to eat something. I need something to eat. And Doc was like, oh, you can have these jalapeno Cheetos. I say, why, thank you, my brother. I appreciate this. And I'm like, I dump some on a napkin. on like a paper towel. And I had a nice little pile. All right, but it's like a family size bag. It's a big bag. So I put it back. He's like, oh man, you can have those. You ain't even gotta put them out. I'm like, oh no, this is all I need. I'm good. I demolished them. All right. I demolished what was on. I was like, man, these smell kind of good. So I'm snacking on them. Doc pick up a couple. He's like, yeah, man, these good. I finished the bag. It was this much. All right. It's just a big bag, but it was only this much. I finished the bag. And then he's like, dang, Miss, Doc, dang, Miss D, you killed them. I said, man, you said I could have them, but so we laughing. Now the story is I stole them, called Detective Mason. I took his jalapeno Cheetos. Your Honor, that bag was given to me, what was left in it, and I handled it. Okay, I took care. I don't even like hot stuff, but them chips was hitting that day. It was flavored just right. Them jalapeno Cheetos, I'm innocent until proven guilty. So Doc is a hater, and Dude, Doc is a hater. Not that. That's all I'm gonna say. Okay, I'm get off the witness stand. Then I'll hop back on at the end of your explanation. Thank you. You're very welcome. It's Mati Movies. Is that right, or is it Matty? Or Mati Movies? Let me know how to pronounce that correctly. From Hamburg, Germany. Good to see you. Glad that you are here. Saying yes, that's it. Black and brown skin looks different on it. Glad that camera companies are doing that. I've tried the conversion LUT and it looks good to be on D-Log. So what happens with different LUT profiles that you're using is you have that log like I was showing earlier, and it's just like I said, it looks ashy, looks kind of gray or whatever, you know, it's not a lot of color, it's not a lot of contrast. When you add the conversion LUT, what that's doing is now taking it from log footage to the Rec 709 or like a normal color space, and it kind of wakes up the image like, oh, there's the colors and stuff. But you'll also see, if you watch any kind of color grading tutorials from somebody you want to learn the color grading from, and maybe they use the same kind of camera and maybe the same kind of video editing software that you use, you'll see that they have the log footage, sometimes a conversion LUT most of the time, to take it from that log to the Rec 709 color space. And then on top of that, you will see now, if they're going deep into it, you'll see where they do color correction, meaning, is my white balance off? Should the greens be a little bit like, that's not right, something is off, so they're color correcting and saying like, oh, that's orange, not pink, that should be orange over there. And so they're making those minor tweaks. And then if they don't need to do any of that stuff, they just may be adjusting how bright or dark the image is for exposure and stuff like that. And then on top of that, you will see that stylistic color grade, which is usually the last part of the step when you buy somebody's LUT pack, is you'll see that. Sometimes you'll see some packages where they kind of do a bunch of steps all in one. So you drop the LUT on and it looks pretty good. But most of the time, when you go from the log to that Rec 709, you're missing those other steps because sometimes there's the assumption that you know what to do after that. But if you don't, just look and see either what they recommend, because everybody designs their LUT packs and stuff a little bit differently, and how they're going about working with their footage. And that's how you can get around that. So you may have the conversion LUT, and it may also be a stylistic type of color grade to that. But sometimes you need to do that step in the middle if the color grading and stuff is off. And like I said, the white balance can impact a lot to the image. And then just see from there. Brightness, exposure, stuff like that. I'm not a colorist, but that's what I've learned over the years and stuff like that. And again, just try to get it to normal. Saying audio, oh, you show right about this one, JFK, saying audio is subjective until the peak meter is red. Listen, even in orange, you're doing too much. When you hit an orange, you're doing too much. Saying that bit made me laugh. You're doing very well, girl, at your stream. Well, thank you so much, How to Prayer. Appreciate that. Saying what? No apple pie. I'm gonna hold you to that peach cobbler recipe. So, Luis, I would do it for you. I haven't made one since I was last in Spokane. And Uncle Ray, he think he's slick. So we at Tammy's house. And so usually at the end of an event or something like that, we are going to have dinner together. And so all of us will get together and we have dinner. And so I'm grabbing his plate for him and just seeing if he needed anything else. His wife is there. And so I'm like, Uncle Ray, do you need anything else? And he looks at me, he said, some peach cobbler would be nice. And I'm like, really? And so his wife, Lynn, she's such a sweetheart. She was like, oh, that would be good. It's like, I'm like, well, you know, Uncle Ray, you know, you be getting tired and, you know, you don't want to stay. It's going to take me it'll take like an hour. And then like whatever the cook time is on top. He was like, I got time. He's like, I can take a nap on the sofa. And, you know, by the time I wake up from a quick little nap after I've eaten, like, it'll be fine. And I'm like, well, we got to go to the store and groceries. Like his brother's like, I can take you to the grocery store. And I'm like, well, then this is happening. And so I made the peach cobbler. And I remember at the time, it's like I posted it on Instagram. And it's so funny because I just let his wife Lynn taste like the juice from a make, like I said, because I make it all from scratch or whatever. So I'm not buying any of that gelatin stuff you see on the store in the can or whatever. I make all the stuff myself. And so I just let her taste a spoonful of the filling. And she was like, this is the best thing I ever had before in my life. And I'm like, well, thank you. And shoot, I'm like, don't blow my head up too much. When that mug came out the oven, passing everybody get a bowl. And I can do apple too. I just don't. I like peach cobbler, so I make peach cobbler a lot. I try not to anymore, but I've done apple, I've done peach. I like peach cobbler more, but I've done apple cobbler before, more or less the same. But I would make one for you and Prince Aiden, Louise. So if we're ever in a space and we have the time, and it's not an event where I need to speak like tomorrow or something, then I would make you one. So if we someplace, we'd have to be someplace where it's like an oven or something. So I don't know if the opportunity ever presents itself though. Luis, you got that. You and Prince Aiden, I got you covered. Said, I'm convinced no real coats are in Mississippi. I'm buying one up there in Long John's core memory. I'm adding that to my list. I'm telling you. And yes, go look. I'll tell you where to get the best stuff. Go look on YouTube for outdoor, wilderness, camping, or survival type stuff. Make sure they are in the northern part of the United States. You will find the best stuff. Like you'll see like the actual like merino wool type stuff. You see, and then they'll link to like the stores, the online stores or whatever. But look at those outdoors, camping, hiking type stuff where they are in real Bees Knees Hall of Fame winner states, and they will link to usually it's like some of the best stores for the outdoor type stuff. Because if you go on for a hike, and some of them it's like 8 degrees, 4 degrees outside, they'll recommend some of the best stuff. And when I've gotten stuff from those channel recommendations, it is like the merino wool socks that I have for my boots and stuff in the winter, some of the best socks I've ever purchased before in my life. And you can sometimes get stuff from Menards if you have one local. You get that stuff for real. See, Louise was there, said, I'm here to validate the jalapeno Cheetos, and now the real story comes out, huh, Louise? A legend. And just back from bus duty. Thanks for the 3-hour stream. We had 3 hours and 40 minutes. We finna wrap this up in 2 shakes of a lamb's tail. We're not doing this. We're not doing this today. Saying Uncle Ray saying I like it. I like it. Thinky Slick saying the peach cobbler conspiracy. They had a plan. When I say that house was quiet, when everybody got their bowls, everybody's eating, all you heard was the metal spoon hitting the bowl. The house was quiet. Nobody was, all you heard is and I'm like, y'all all right? Shoot. Saying cool. So I'll help out. The next Airbnb I'll rent and make sure it has an oven. Yeah, get an Airbnb. We at an event or something like that. It's towards the end or whatever. I got you. You and Prince Aiden. If you want apple, it just needs to be apples in season. It's like that'd be fine. If not, it's like we do the peaches. But yeah, saying check it in at hour 3. And with that, guys, we have hit the end of the questions as well as the comments. Go over to Instagram real quick. Saying I bought the Sony ZV-1 and my Samsung Q2U based on your recommendations, and I have not regretted either one. That's what I'm talking about. Creator Standard, just still good. I was talking about this in an upcoming video someplace else that you will see me online. I'll let y'all know when that comes out. But the ZV-1 Mark I, great camera, still to this day. Other people that have bought it as well still use it to this day. And the Samsung Q2U stays in my go bag. And if I ever need a microphone, or even when people need to borrow a microphone and there's someplace and it's like, man, it's so noisy, it's like Samsung Q2U all day long. Exploring Canada saying, Menards, you are talking my language. See, folks in the north saying here at the start and here at the end. That's what I'm talking about. David Hunt saying, made it to the end. Love it, love it, love it. Y'all are hilarious and definitely one of the best parts of every Friday. But as I said, we will end the show when we get to the end of the comments. We went a little long today because I'm thinking like, it's probably only going to be 45 minutes to an hour today, and then we'll be fine. Yeah, so now that was not the case, but we're not doing a 5-hour energy live stream. But guys, I thank you so much for coming to the Friday Live Helpcast. You're the best part of doing these streams. Next week on Thursday is my birthday. I don't know if I'm gonna stream that day or Friday or whatever. I don't know. I want to take one of those days off. I'm not too big on doing a whole lot of anything. All I plan to do is read. I just want some me time. And I don't know if I'm gonna do it Thursday or Friday, but we'll see. But it will be a stream. Just keep your eye out on the channel to see what day we do those, but we may keep it with the Friday Live or whatever the case, or I may do it Thursday and then take that Friday off. So we'll see. But with that, guys, so with passion, I'll see you on the next videos on the channel. Peace, and remember to create, post, repeat.